All right, good evening, Queens. Yeah. I'd like to bring out your council member, Peter Koo. And your mayor, Bill de Blasio. And I'd like to invite up Brianna Vilches to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Thank you, Brianna. So I'd like to start off by thanking our host, Junior High School 189Q, Magdalene Radovich, principal, and also the Flushing International High School, Laura Evangelista, principal. And of course, our co-sponsors for this evening, Asian Americans for Equality, the Chinese American Planning Council, the Flushing Chinese Business Association, the Korean American Family Service Center, Queens Community Board 7, the South Asian Council for Social Services, Union Street Merchants Association. We also like to thank John Cho, Executive Director of the Greater Flushing Chamber of Commerce. Before we begin, I'd like to invite up some of our special guests, starting with your Borough President, Melinda Katz, to give some brief greetings.
Councilman?
Hi. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. We love the fact that we have the mayor of the city of New York visiting us right here at 189. So I want to first thank the councilman, Peter Koo, for the great work that he does. Peter Koo, come on. I have to tell you that the councilman is one of the best joys to work with in the New York City Council, from the great work that he does, making sure we get money back for our districts here in the borough of Queens, and rebuilding parks and schools throughout the district that he represents. Councilman Koo, thank you for your dedication and your work. And I know you'll hear from our Assemblyman Ron Kim and our Senator Ron Kim and our Senator Toby Stavisky. But right now, I really do want to thank the mayor of the city of New York for the great work that he has done. And also not forgetting Queens. For those of us that have been around long enough, we know that sometimes Queens has to get up and shout in order for people to notice and remember us. And this is a mayor who has, throughout the city of New York, visited us. And at the last town hall meeting, I said, sometimes I think he's running for Queens Borough President. And it makes me a little nervous. But I have great faith in his leadership and his abilities. We do need to thank him for many things in the last 4 years. One of them is clearly 4-year-old all-day pre-K that is now citywide. And it was so successful, he went from pre-K to 3K for 3-year-olds now in the city of New York, which I think, everyone said it couldn't be done. Can't change the educational system. Not happening. This mayor came in and within a year had 4-year-old pre-K for the entire city of New York. And that is an amazing contribution he has made to generations of New Yorkers. And with our economy being at an all-time low here in Queens, and all of the great things that he's done, and it's not an easy thing. And so we thank him for coming out here to our town hall meetings. We know you're going to ask some really tough questions, and he likes tough questions. But before I hand it back over to the mayor and to the councilman, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for the great contributions that your agency heads, your commissioners do throughout this great borough. We have a great relationship with the commissioners, especially our police department and Julia Harrison of the 109th Precinct, and we thank her for her leadership. And to Chief Holmes, really, who's done a yeoman's job. Great in the Queens North, Chief Holmes. We thank her for the great work. And we know it's going to be a lively discussion here today. But again, thank you for coming to the Borough of Queens. Congratulations.
Thank you, Borough President Melinda Katz. Now I'd like to bring up your state senator, Toby Ann Stavitsky.
Thank you. Did anybody introduce Mario? Marco. Did I say Mario? I meant Marco Carrion. Used to work for one of my colleagues in the Senate. That's. And thank you, Councilman Koo. Mr. Mayor, welcome. Those of us, though, know really who the mayor is. We have our own separate mayor in Flushing. Everybody who lives here, works here, knows that Peter Koo has been our mayor. We always call him the mayor of Flushing. Everybody's shaking their head yes. And the good news is there was no election. I thank you for coming to these town hall meetings that really give everybody an opportunity to come together to ask questions, sort of like the old circle, the theater in the circle in the square, or the theater in the circle, whatever it was called. That's what this is, in a sense. It's an opportunity not to have a dais and an audience, but to have participation. And as you noticed when you came in, Flushing is undergoing an economic recovery, but also we're thriving economically. But with the thriving economy that we have here in Flushing come problems. And I hope tonight you will address some of the issues that we have, whether it be the congestion, the schools, the need for safety, for traffic enforcement. And I know you came when we had that horrible bus crash in downtown Flushing at Main and Roosevelt a month or so ago. 6 weeks ago, and we appreciate that because we need a hands-on mayor, and that's why we respect the councilman and you, and we congratulate you both on your re-elections, and hopefully this will be a very, very productive evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Stavitsky. Now your Assembly Member, Ron Kim.
Thank you, Commissioner Carrion. We used to actually work together many years ago, so we go back many, many years. But give it up for the mayor and Councilman Peter Koo one more time, please. I do join my colleagues, Melinda Katz and Toby Stavitsky, in welcoming the mayor. And also thank Junior High School 189 for hosting us today in one of the most diverse junior high schools in the entire country, right here in Flushing, New York. And, you know, I'm going to keep my remarks very short. There are mayors and governors in the past around the country that are constantly focused on short-term gain, band-aid solutions. You know, they just want to make headlines. You know, they want to put hundreds of millions of dollars to put LED lights on bridges instead of focused on getting to the nitty and gritty of fixing our infrastructure, right? But when you do that, when you put in the investment, you don't get the recognition sometimes because it takes a long time. A UPK, it's going to take 18, 20 years until we see the outcome of how significant and monumental this was for the city and the country. We don't understand. But that's what real leadership should be about. It's not about this term, but it's about setting the tone and agenda for the next few generations. And that's what the mayor has done. He understands what closing the achievement gap is about. And that's why I'm very supportive of the mayor. And I think we got 4 more great years to get more stuff done. And I'm going to close, but my district leader will be very upset if I don't recognize her. So Martha Flores, good to see you. And lastly, our good Councilman Ko, he is one of the most active members in the City Council. He shows up to every single meeting, small, big, medium, doesn't matter. So I want to give it up for Councilman Peter Ko, and congratulations on your reelection.
Thank you, Assemblymember Kim. Now your council member, Peter Koo.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Yeah, I'm your public servant for the local area, Flushing. Amazing things are happening in Flushing. The mayor is here tonight. It's amazing, right? The reason I say amazing things are happening in Flushing is that 30 years ago, if you live here, this is a dead town, no? 35 years ago. But now it's so vibrant, no? Every street corner, you see thousands of people. This is one of the most busy intersections. Roosevelt and Main Street, the second most busy intersection of the whole New York City. Imagine that, the second most busy place. So we jumped from a small town that nobody knows. Now we are internationally known. No, internationally known. He laughing, right? It's true. International. You ask anyone from China or Taiwan, they say, "Where's Flushing?" They know. They know where's Flushing. So I want to thank Bianca for leading us for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Principal Evangelista, Flushing International High School, and Principal Radovich, JHS 189, for hosting us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming to Flushing. The mayor is the people's mayor. No. Thank you to all the city agencies for coming together. Being Flushing is a transit hub, very busy. I especially want to thank a couple agencies that we deal with every day. Our 109 precinct, under the direction of Judy Harrison, she has done a wonderful job keeping crime down, right? Keeping traffic moving. Yeah. Thank you, Inspector. And of course, our Chief Holmes. She has done a lot of fantastic jobs, helping our precinct, increasing our staff, right? Increasing traffic agents. She just mentioned, yeah. Thank you very much, yeah. And then, because police is the most important, because we see police every day, right? Transactions. They give you a ticket, they direct the traffic, right? They make sure everyone is safe. They're giving you a ticket. It's okay. It's called enforcement, right? Otherwise we have too many people double parking, right? So it's important for police to give tickets. Yeah, I don't argue against that. Yeah, but so we want to thank all the city agencies, especially the commissioners. They are coming here to Flushing. And all of you will have opportunities to have your questions answered. Concerns heard to hold the city accountable. No? Some ambulance going to save somebody. Yeah. So Mayor de Blasio has done a good job in our city, shown a desire to improve the outer boroughs that we haven't seen in a long time. That's why I call him People's Mayor. He always comes to outer boroughs. No, he has visited Queens at least 10 times now, right? Yeah, many more. For different districts. Flushing is a rapidly growing community. Our mayor is committed to making sure we become a world-class community, a place to live, work, play, and visit. I want to re-emphasize, this is truly a world-class city because we have more than 400 or 500 doctors in Flushing. We have like 50 banks, financial institutions in a couple of zip codes. No, we have like 20 supermarkets here. You can buy anything you want under the sun. And then we have so many senior centers here. The seniors love to live here because they can walk over. They don't even have to take a bus to go to the senior center. They just walk a couple of blocks and they get all the services. We have wonderful schools. We have hospitals. We have beauty salons here, so many of them. Right? laundromats, everything. People would rather live in Flushing than somewhere in New Jersey. You know? Yeah, they love to live here. I mean, ask any grandparents, would you love to live in Flushing or live in Long Island? Right? Flushing, right? Yeah. Mr. Mayor, no, we may not see eye to eye for everything because you are too tall. I have to jump up there to see you. But we have made some real improvements over the last several years. Main Street construction and sidewalk widening, $7.8 million project, expanding sidewalks up to 9 feet. Now you can walk without worrying about hitting somebody. Used to be elbow to elbow. Now you can walk all the way. You can do it sideways, like, you know. And you won't hit anybody. No, we have streets we pave around downtown Flushing, especially Prince Street, Main Street, Union, and many residential streets around Kissimmee Park and Queensboro Hill. And we have new traffic lights on our streets, safer at Parsons and Rose, Norton and 150 Place. These are 2 additional new traffic lights. And we have SBS lanes designed to speed up bus traffic. SBS is very important. It used to be when you take a bus, you take more than 1 hour to go from Queens to Bronx. Now, with SBS, it cut down the time at least 1/3 or half. We have school expansions in our district. PS24, we have new classrooms, new cafeterias, rooftop gym, and labs. PS163, we have 19 new classrooms, new labs, cafeteria. Francis Lewis High School, by the way, is the most overcrowded high school we have in the city. 19 new classrooms with over 500 seats. They're going to replace all the trailers. And then they have New York's only rooftop greenhouse. The mayor also tried to rezone Flushing West, but at the end of the day, it didn't work because of the flight path near the LaGuardia Airport, the water table, the pollution on Flushing Creek, infrastructure not catching up. So I asked to withdraw the proposal. The mayor agreed, but we continue working on the waterfront access plan with developers. Also, overall strategy with RPA. We also have asked RPA to do a borrower-wide study on how to improve infrastructure around here. No. Citywide, we must support the mayor for implemented universal PK, 3 and 4 years old. Right? So every family can give their child access to an early education. It's very important. It has been proved in many European countries that if you have UPK, the kids will go out much. When they go to school, they have more foundation built, and they will become productive citizens. And the mayor also stressed on Vision Zero, mapping accident data to create traffic safety priority corridors to improve fatality and accident rates and encourage pedestrian safety. Mayor DeBlasio is 4 years into his term. He understands the value of our community. He understands our needs. I'm excited to work together over the next 4 years. Let's welcome Mayor DeBlasio, the people's mayor.
Peter, I want you to know something. I'm going to tell people, everyone here, I'm going to tell you. Peter, look at me. Yeah. I look up to you, Peter Kim. Peter Koo, I'm sorry, it's wrong Kim. Peter Koo. Peter Koo. I look up to you. Look, I'm going to talk about Peter because Peter Koo has been an exemplary council member. And he's been a great partner in so much of what we do. And when we talked earlier about the fact that he shows up at every meeting, he goes and attends to all the concerns of the community. I think everyone in this room knows what that's about, right? You've seen him out there addressing the issues of community. So even though we have a height difference, I look up to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Now, let me talk to you about a few things tonight. And I want to tell you, Peter, you'll appreciate this. I don't know if you know this, but when I first was working for the city government the first time, back when Mayor Dinkins was mayor, and it was before I met my wife, and I was living as a bachelor, and my bachelor apartment, one of them, was in Flushing on Saul Street. You know Saul Street? Okay. So for 2 years I lived on Saul Street, and I was young. I'm not as young anymore. I was young, I was free, an amazing neighborhood to live in. It was a great neighborhood then. That was the end of the 1980s, the beginning of the 1990s. It was a great neighborhood, a neighborhood to be very proud of then. But this neighborhood has done amazing things and has come so far in the decades since then. And so I want to just congratulate everyone. I want to congratulate you, Peter, for the amazing, amazing reality of Flushing today. Congratulations. So let me thank everyone for being here. I want to remind you that these meetings are an example of democracy at its best. Everyone here cares about the community, and I want to thank you for that. To come out at night for so many people after a long day to express your concerns about the community, that is a very powerful statement. You should be very proud of the fact that you care that much, and you're holding us accountable, and you're raising concerns to us. I'm going to say a few things up front, but then I'm going to listen to you and try and respond to your concerns. And this is exactly how democracy is supposed to be. You don't have to, it's not like you have to go through someone to go through someone to go through someone. You want to ask your mayor a question? I'm standing right here. But this works because so many people care. So I want to ask you to please applaud your neighbor, because this is what democracy is supposed to be. I want you to join me also in applauding your elected officials. So you heard from the borough president, and the borough president is very adamant when she sees something that Queens needs. She calls me, she emails me, she finds where I'm going to be that day and shows up, whatever it takes. And I know that when Melinda Katz calls, I need to pay attention, I need to get something done. She is a very effective borough president. Let's thank her for all she does. Senator Toby Ann Stavisky, we work so closely with you, my entire administration. I want to thank you. The New York State Senate matters a lot to the city of New York. I look forward to the day soon when you're in the majority in the state Senate. That day is coming. But I want to say, even without being in the majority, the senator has stood up for New York City and made a big difference time and time again and protected our interests. Let's thank her for all she does in Albany. Assemblymember Ron Kim, new dynamic leader, does a lot for us in the Assembly, also to protect our interests. I want to thank you for your partnership, and I want to give you special credit. You were a particularly strong leader. I know you work closely with Peter and others in the achievement of something very important for a lot of people in this community, which was our schools deciding to recognize Asian Lunar New Year. I want to thank you for your leadership on that issue. And we have another district leader here who didn't get acknowledged before, so I want to point her out. Nita Jane, where are you, Nita? Thank you for your leadership. Nita Jane, district leader. Thank you. Now, over in this section are the heads of a number of city agencies. And I always say to people at town hall meetings, this is my 44th town hall meeting since I was elected mayor. And every town hall meeting I say the same thing. When you come to the town hall meeting, you get a chance to ask the concerns you have to me and the council member, but there is a bonus. You have the heads of a lot of the most important city agencies right here. And you have a chance to also talk to them about your concerns. And these are really extraordinary public servants. They do a lot of great work. What they do affects this community, affects your lives every single day. So they're right here. They're right here. At the end of the meeting, If there's any concern that did not get addressed, anything you want to follow up on, do not be shy. I don't know many shy New Yorkers. Don't be shy. Come right over and seek out the commissioner you want to talk to, and they will listen and they will follow up on the issue. Now, this meeting will go till about 10 o'clock, okay? At the end, they'll still be here. And you might say, oh, it's too late at night. You don't want to bother them. It's so late, they've had a long day. But they are such dedicated public servants that they will stay here all night if you want them to. They've heard that 44 times, but they love it every time. So, Peter, I want to say, as we begin, again, thank you. We have worked on a lot of important issues together. And people in my administration, including these commissioners, have a lot of respect for you. You're very hardworking. You do your homework. You know your community. And I want to thank you for that, because we know when Peter brings an issue to the city of New York, to any of our agencies, we take it very, very seriously. So I want you to thank him again for all he does for the community. Now, let me give you a few quick updates, and then we're going to open it up. And I want to start by giving credit to the City Council, to Councilman Koo and all of his colleagues who focused very much on public safety and decided a few years ago one of the most important things we could do was put more police officers on patrol. So in the last 2 years, we have added 2,000 more officers on patrol in the city. And that has made us safer. That has helped us to achieve a vision of neighborhood policing, to create a stronger bond between police and community. It's helped us increase our anti-terrorism capacity, because we understand the world we're living in. We need more protection. That's happened because of the City Council. And all the achievement that you've seen in terms of bringing down crime, let's give a thanks to all the leadership of the NYPD who are here with us. The Neighborhood Policing Initiative is playing a very important role in the precincts in the council member's district. And I'm proud to tell you that in all 3 precincts in your council district, crime has gone down in the last year consistently. And overall major crime in the 109 precinct has gone down 5.5% in just 1 year. Congratulations, Inspector. Now, you heard before about what we're doing with pre-K. Council member, I hope you know your district, of all 51 council districts in the city, Council member Koo's district is one of the ones that got the greatest increase in pre-K seats anywhere in the city. 5 times more pre-K seats today than 4 years ago. 5 times more. Congratulations to you. You've heard we are going to be building out 3K next. Every 3-year-old, over the next 4 years, every 3-year-old will get a quality early childhood education for free. It's going to take us 4 years to get it to every part of the city, but it's coming, and it's going to be a game changer for so many families. But another thing that's so important is after school. For middle school children, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, after school is now free and available universally in this city. Absolutely universal. But there are still a lot of people, and again, I said I've done 44 town hall meetings. Most people at most of the town hall meetings don't know that our middle school kids have this right. So I want to ask a poll of the entire room here. How many people in the room, before I just said it, how many of you knew that every middle school child gets after school for free? Raise your hand if you knew that. So some people knew, a lot of people didn't. I want to ask everyone, one great thing you can do as a result of this meeting is tell the parents in your life that if they have kids who are 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, we will give them after school for free. It is a huge benefit to kids. Like 3 more hours after school where they're learning, they're getting tutoring, they're getting recreation, they're getting cultural programs. We have doubled the number of kids in after school in your district, but we can do a lot more. There's still a lot more seats available for the kids in your district. So please spread the word. Are you going to help me do that? All right. We are also in the process of adding a number of additional school seats in your council district. And we know there's a need to keep adding, and I want you to know, and you know it from our budget, we keep putting more and more money in to make sure that the needs of this district will be addressed. And we're going to keep improving school facilities. So, for example, at Flushing High School, we are investing in renovating the Levitt Field. So that field will be, it's in fact being repaired right as we speak, and it will be ready soon so that young people at that school will have better recreational opportunities. Now, I want to turn very quickly, a couple other topics. I want to turn to affordable housing. I go to 44 town hall meetings. Here's what I've learned. The number one issue for New Yorkers is being able to afford to live in New York City. Who's that the number one issue? If it's your number one issue, tell me. Okay. We started with a plan to build and preserve 200,000, enough affordable housing for 200,000 apartments that would reach 500,000 people, okay, that we were going to build or subsidize and preserve 200,000 apartments that would reach 500,000 people who right now don't have affordable housing. That plan was good. That plan's been moving along. It's ahead of schedule. It's on budget. But the need is so great, we made a decision to go farther. We're adding another 50% to that plan. It's ultimately going to be 300,000 affordable apartments. And we know there's a lot of different kinds of people who need affordable housing. But I would tell you, of all the different types of people, I think the folks who need it the most are our seniors. Our seniors need more affordable housing. Our seniors have done so much for us. Huge percent of our seniors live on a fixed income, and they don't have a lot of flexibility. We need to make sure they can stay in their own neighborhood, in their own city. So we are doubling the amount of senior affordable housing to make sure we can help the people who've done so much for us. And I'm going to give you one example that we have supported here in the community, the One Flushing development. It's 232 affordable apartments. A quarter of them will be specifically for seniors, so 66 apartments specifically for seniors here in the neighborhood, and that can include seniors who make as little as who have income of as little as $21,000 a year. So a lot of people when I talk to them about affordable housing say, well, affordable for who? What does it mean? These apartments are for people who make as little as $21,000 a year, and then once you're in one of our affordable apartments, you pay no more than 30% of your income in rent, whatever your income is. That's the vision that we are working on. Those apartments will be open, that One Flushing development, in the next couple of years, and we intend to do a lot more after that. Now I'm going to switch to another topic. I'm going to be very quick, and then we're going to open it up. Our parks. We value our parks intensely. So New Yorkers, we really depend on our parks, kids, seniors, everyone. But we have to make sure our parks are safe. And there's been real concern at Casina Corridor Park about safety. The council member has raised this. He's raised the concern to make sure that these areas are well patrolled by Parks Department, NYPD. But we want to go a step farther. Working with the council member, we've agreed that we're going to be adding security lights into that park to make them safe for everybody. Now, you heard when Councilmember Koo gave his opening, he mentioned that we're also trying to make the community more livable. And one of the best ways to make the quality of life better is that you can actually walk around your own community and have the space to move around and get where you're trying to go. As you said, we know this is one of the most congested parts of all of New York City. And so that upgrade to the sidewalks was very important. Councilmember Koo put a lot of money into it. We put a lot of money into it. The upgrade to sidewalks along Main Street from 38th to 41st Avenues, that was almost an $8 million project. But it's done now. It's making a big difference. Open sidewalks that people can walk on. It's the first time in 20 years that those sidewalks were invested in, and we think it's going to make a big difference for the community. We know when it comes to our streets, we have to address congestion, but we also constantly have to work on safety. And the Vision Zero initiative was, from my point of view, meant to change the way we think about how we move around, change the way we design our city, change the way NYPD and DOT and TLC, everyone enforces the laws to make sure people are safe. And I got to tell you, it's been 4 years now, and we see the number of traffic fatalities and traffic injuries keep going down. And we see people's behavior, drivers' behavior improving. We're going to keep doing more. And we know that there have been real issues on Northern Boulevard. We made major safety upgrades on Northern Boulevard, including changing the crossing time so people had more time to cross the street to be safer. We're going to be doing more now. We're going to be making an additional investment to improve Northern Boulevard, to have easier for people to cross the streets, more protection, new crosswalks. These will all be done by next June, so that will be an even safer place for people of the community, and we're proud of that. Now, very quickly, so another one of the biggest concerns, let's face it, it is not easy when you're trying to get from one place to another in this city, whether it's for work or because you're going to school or whatever it is, it's not easy to get around. We have to keep creating more mass transit options. One of the best options, one of the things that's had the biggest impact is select bus service. When you have those dedicated lanes for the buses, it's made a huge difference. So the Q44 route is a great example. Opened a couple of years ago. It's been a big hit. It's been wonderful for the community. We're going to improve that route. We're going to put $10 million into upgrading that route on Main Street from Flushing to Jamaica to make it go even smoother and faster for people who ride the Q44. Finally, and this is one of my personal favorites, and I told Councilmember Koo before the meeting that we were going to do this, and a big smile came across his face because I used to be a council member too, you know. And one of the things that people in every community or city get most upset about is when they see the public litter baskets and they're all overflowing, right? Everyone cares about quality of life, and it really is obnoxious. When you see a litter basket, you're happy there's a litter basket, but if it's overflowing, it defeats the whole purpose. That means it needs to be picked up more often. So, we will be investing to increase basket collection in downtown Flushing from once a day to twice a day. Now, and this is the last thing I'll say before we open it up, that in case you think government is always slow and bureaucratic and cumbersome, I want to point out our Sanitation Commissioner, Catherine Garcia. Stand up, Catherine. In charge of making sure that those baskets are picked up. So Catherine Garcia is very, very good at her job. So I said, Catherine, when will we start doubling the number of basket collections? When will it go from once a day to twice a day? How long are we going to have to wait? And she said, in downtown Flushing, it will start tomorrow. So thank you to everyone. I wanted to give you those updates. I'm looking forward to your questions, concerns. I just want to give you one ground rule as we start. When you're called on, the council member will call on people. We want to try and get to as many people as we can up until 10 o'clock. I ask you this. Whatever your question or concern, try to state it as quickly as possible. We don't need a lot of background. We don't need big speeches, just the quickest version of what your concern is. I'll try and give you the best answer I can, working with my colleagues. I'm not going to get into a big back and forth discussion with anyone. The goal is to get as many people to have a chance to raise their concern as possible. So help out your neighbors, help out your fellow citizens by keeping the point really sharp. We'll give you an answer, and then we'll get to as many people as possible. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The people's mayor.
All right.
Yeah. So who has questions? Raise your hands. On this side. Oh, Pauline, you have a question?
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor. Congratulations for your re-election.
Thank you.
Even I was in China, but I got good news through the WeChat. Which
Thank
is
you.
Very powerful channel if you want to get the Chinese voters.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're telling me too late.
Yeah, I really appreciate Melinda Katz just mentioned and you emphasized the universal pre-K.
Yes.
You know, my name is Pauline Chu and the president of Chinese American Parents Association and the founder, and also the president of former community school board.
And you are a wonderful leader, but you're going to be my first example to everyone.
Okay.
We don't want to hear everyone's credentials.
All right.
We just want to know what's your concern.
Okay, my concern is like specialized high schools, because as Parents Association, you know, a lot of parents come to me, as you mentioned, announced that you're going to have a change, the method of testing,
Yes.
or the policy of the reviewing and process.
Yes.
So they're very concerned about, you know, how you're going to change, maybe affect their kids' future, because that's probably the only way they could fill up the American dream. That's good education.
Well, thank you for the question. It's an excellent question and very important. So I want to tell you a few things. First, my own son Dante went to a specialized high school, went to Brooklyn Tech. My daughter also, they both took the tests. My daughter got into Brooklyn Tech too. She decided to go to another school, Beacon. So I, as a parent, went through the whole testing process, and I have perspective from that, let alone as someone now, because of mayoral control of education, in charge of the whole school system. I have very strong views on the subject of testing. That's one point. I'll explain. The second point, I think your assumption, I think it's an understandable assumption, that the only way to realize the American dream is through one of the specialized high schools. I would disagree with great respect. I think our job is to make sure many of our high schools, whether specialized or not, allow people to achieve the American dream. I was with Senator Chuck Schumer earlier today. He went to Madison High School in Brooklyn, not a specialized high school, a good high school, but not one of the great famous high schools. He is the Democratic leader in the United States Senate. You don't have to only succeed by going to a specialized high school. There's a lot of great high schools, and we want to make them better. The other point I want to say, at town hall meeting, my job is to tell you the truth as I see it. Sometimes it will not be popular. Sometimes you may like it. But here's my true feeling. I don't think anything should be decided by a single test. When you think about the finest universities in this country, they do not make their decisions on who to accept based on a test. The test is one of many factors. They look at grades, they look at extracurricular activities, they look at essays, interviews. I don't think the best high schools in New York City, that the entrance shouldn't be decided by a single test. I just don't. I also want to make sure that those high schools are available to every kind of New Yorker. And right now, unfortunately, that's just not the reality. So this decision can only be made by the state legislature. I will continue to ask the legislature to change the law so I can follow through on this vision of what I think would be a fairer system. But the goal here is not to reduce opportunity, it's to open up opportunity, and we intend to improve a lot of other high schools at the same time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take a question from here. John Cho, right here. John Cho is right in front of us.
You can stand up.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to Flushing, Mayor. I wanted to first start off by congratulating you and your administration for being so actively involved in the Flushing community. I've seen more of your commissioners than the previous administration, and I think that's great. We were able to work with...
Are you saying you've seen more of my commissioners in 4 years than in all 12 years of the previous administration?
Yes, I can say
I
that.
thought that's what you were saying.
We worked with AFI and other organizations to bring resources to Flushing. We have a 3-year contract to promote Flushing through a district marketing campaign called Flushing Fantastic.
With Small Business Services.
Yes, I want to give this to you.
Thank you.
And I want to give kudos to the Commissioner, Greg Bishop, for doing such a wonderful job of Neighborhood 360.
Excellent.
My question is, we worked with the planning, your city planning department over a year to put together Flushing West and to start having comprehensive planning that would address many of the things that you talked about: affordable housing, congestion, lack of school seats.
Yes.
Your administration decided to put that on the table, and we no longer have a comprehensive public process for planning and addressing our needs in Flushing. As someone who represents the businesses and works with local residents, I would like to get your guarantee that we will have back on the table a comprehensive public planning process to address all the needs that are going to be discussed today.
Well, I want to give you a modified answer. Again, my goal is to always be straightforward here. There was originally a vision for a rezoning, and the council member referred to it. We, in the beginning of the administration, laid out a number of places where we thought a rezoning would make sense. We've been very honest along the way that we take into account community concerns, elected official concerns, and then the things we learn along the way about whether a rezoning is going to work or not. We've come to the conclusion with the council member that the original plan for the rezoning will not work. We've pulled it back formally now. There's many other places in the city where there are rezoning plans that are moving forward, including today in East Harlem, for example. So we're going to keep our focus where we think we can have the highest impact, the most immediate impact. That doesn't mean we can't do a planning process to work with the community. But I want to be clear, a rezoning is obviously a particularly concentrated and effective way to address issues. We don't think we can do that now, but we are going to work with the council member and with the community to try and plan coherently on an ongoing basis, because we know there's very serious issues and it's a very dynamic community. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that?
I would like to say that this really was an important...
Introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm John Young. I'm Director of the Queens Office of City Planning. Good evening, everyone. And we had a great opportunity to begin to study Flushing and really come up with a set of issues that we think are important to make this community, as Councilmember Koo said, a world-class neighborhood. And with these ideas, we now have a number of strategies we can move forward on as part of individual opportunities working with some of our partner agencies. So we are going to continue to think about what we can do to clean up Flushing Creek, working with DEP. We're going to do a separate study of Flushing Creek's ecology. We're going to launch that next year, and we really think that's going to build on some of the concerns we heard during Flushing's planning process. And we look forward to continuing implementing some of the services you've already mentioned with SBS to help grow the business community here.
And the Flushing Waterfront Revitalization Plan. Speak about that.
So one of the main opportunity areas that we identified with that was how to revitalize the area along Flushing Creek itself, and noted that these sites have very unique characteristics, and what we wanted to come up was a master plan to make sure that those sites had the opportunity to participate in Flushing's growth, but do it in a way that minimized the way they would add to the burden of the neighborhood streets. So we want to work with those property owners, work with the elected officials, and make sure that there's a planning process that goes to the public review for implementing what we call a special waterfront district. And that's going to create a lot of common sense strategies for those developments to increase open space. If everyone redevelops sites on the waterfront, we could grow 8 acres of new open space in an area that severely needs open space
Thank
resources.
you. That's a very exciting prospect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have to be fair, so we take turns, right? Now we go to this, no, I took different already. Okay, I see the lady there, Tina. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman Koo. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being here. Flushing small businesses need your help too. In the downtown Flushing, we've lost over 1,200 affordable parking spaces due to development of Municipal Lot 1 and 3, which has created significant hardship for our small businesses and also increased traffic congestion. We would very much like to ask for your support and commitment to promote balanced development that will take into account the needs of our small businesses, which, as Councilman Koo has said, are the economic engines of our community, who also create jobs. And for the community to continue to thrive, we need to create an environment that helps businesses.
So I'm going to hold on one second, because I want to ask a definition. You said an important thing, balanced growth, balanced development. What does it mean to you in the fewest words possible? What does that mean to you?
Well, it means that although affordable housing is important and we know that there's a need for it, we'd also like to consider the entire community. For instance, we've already had affordable housing in Municipal Lot 1 and 3, but we'd also like to be able to help the businesses to have more affordable parking as well.
So I'm going to interpret your question as saying you want more parking spaces.
Affordable parking.
Affordable parking. Okay. But I want, okay, so again, welcome to the town hall meeting, where when I say that, my job is to tell you the truth. So we believe, first of all, the affordable housing crisis is so deep in this city that, and we're not going to do back and forth, so you can give up the microphone. It's okay. The affordable housing crisis is so deep in this city that the number one priority, when we have available land, city-owned land, or we have a rezoning, the first thing we're trying to achieve is more affordable housing, because hundreds of thousands of people are trying to get it. And if you don't have affordable housing, then everything else becomes moot. So, second problem we have is if we keep increasing the amount of parking, we keep increasing the number of cars that come into an area, and we actually exacerbate congestion. So I fully understand, as a small business owner, of course some of your clientele is going to come by car, and I understand you want that business. I would argue, given the amount of growth, given the amount of new people living in the immediate area, that right there gives you a bigger and bigger customer base, even separate from people who need to take their car to get to you. But I want to be honest with you, we do not think, and our transportation commissioner is here and she can say it more eloquently than I do, we don't think about how to add parking as a goal in our planning. We think about how to add affordable housing. We think about how to add other pieces of infrastructure, mass transit, which obviously relieves a lot of the pressure in terms of parking. We don't want to see a city that encourages more and more car use. We think that actually would be very dangerous for a city that's growing to 9 million people. We're not doing back and forth. We're not doing back and forth. Go ahead.
I'll just add, Mr. Mayor, and you talked about select bus service. When we were looking at putting that service in, we did a survey of local businesses, and we found out that they got 83% of their customer base from either people walking or using mass transit. So we made the decision those were areas we really needed to focus on, as the mayor said. And we know that there have been some developments here that have taken some parking away. But they're really, I think we're going to have to focus in the future on mass transit as the solution to handling the number of people in this neighborhood. The roadway can't really handle many more cars.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah. So I'm going to go to this session. You want the two ladies here? Do you want which? She's going to ask one. Okay.
Quería yo saber, yo estoy esperando como 20 años para el permiso de vender comida en la calle. Yo pago los stickers.
Momentito. Wait, I want to make sure. I thought there was going to be overhead translation. I just
Here. Your major here.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to be translating
okay,
the question
start
later.
again.
Yo he esperado mucho tiempo para hablar con usted. Somos un grupo de mujeres aquí, una organización. Estamos esperando como 20 años para que pase la ley para que usted nos den el permiso para vender comida en la calle, en los stickers. Yo he pagado desde el 1992 mis taxes, cumplo con las leyes.
Get translation.
I represent a group of women that are with me here tonight. We are street vendors. We've been waiting more than 20 years for us to get the stickers to be able to sell on the streets. I've been paying taxes since 1992.
Y también quería concernarle, porque mire, yo en el mercado negro, lo que yo tengo que hacer, pago $18,000 a $24,000. Yo soy una madre de familia que estoy aquí, bueno, no, tratando de salir adelante y solucionar, y quisiera que usted nos hace el favor de solucionar esto.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm a mother of a household, and what I have to do is I have to go into the black market and pay around from $18,000 to $24,000. So I'm trying to move forward my family, and I would like to see if you can help us somehow.
You can translate back, because I get the concept. I've had the same question at many, many town hall meetings. So just tell her I'm going to explain, because I know where she's going with the question.
El señor alcalde le va a responder la pregunta.
Okay. So we have legislation right now before the city council that will attempt to address the concern of the street vendors, create better enforcement, get rid of the black market that we have now in the permits, but also protect the interests of the bricks and mortar stores in our communities. We think that the way to structure the legislation is to balance all those interests. We think it can be done. Our hope is to pass that legislation as early as next month in December.
En la concejalía, en el Consejo Municipal tenemos legislación que se está elaborando. Uno de los objetivos dentro de esa legislación es mejorar el cumplimiento de las leyes y con eso tratar de eliminar un poco el fenómeno del mercado negro, pero también queremos intentar el respaldar a los negocios establecidos, los negocios que tienen un local fijo. Es una legislación que trata de abarcar todos los frentes. Esperamos que dentro de 1 a 2 meses sea aprobada ya.
Thank you. The one question only. Right? So as you can see, you don't have to speak English to ask a question. You can speak Chinese or Korean or Spanish. I'm going to go this section, right? One section, one at a time. Let me see. Wait. The man in the right there. Okay, you, yeah. Come on.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sang-Suk Park. I'm a Korean American Dry Cleaning Association of New York. I am representing over 1,000 dry cleaners throughout the 5 boroughs, New York City. We have a forum last week with the DCA, with the Carlos Ortiz Carlos. Yes.
Commissioner's helping me out.
Commissioner. Yeah, oh, very good.
DCA
Hi.
Commissioner Lorelei Salas.
Yeah, we still have questions unsolved and unanswered from our issue.
This is
Our
about
issue
the application requirement?
Yes, new local law.
We have an
87.
answer for you. We have an answer. So I'll start, and the commissioner will join in. And obviously, the council members raised this concern to us. The goal here was not to burden the laundry operators. We understand how important the laundry operators are for the city. We want to make sure they are strong. So we are going to have a temporary hold on the new policy so that we can adjust it and make sure it works for the laundry operators. Go ahead and explain that, Commissioner.
Yes. So we will now be issuing extensions of time for the laundromats to be able to comply with all the requirements, but we're also going to be simplifying the process. So we will just be asking for self-certifications from the businesses so that, especially those that had already been licensed, they don't have to go and produce a lot of other documentation that they already had produced to us.
So there's no change.
No, I'm sorry. That's not the my issue. My
Okay.
issue is, as many dry cleaners has a very important wet cleaning process, which is involved with the. This is a very critical dry cleaning issue. Is because of this is very safe process of the dry cleaning. This is the most important process for the next future dry cleaning process. But this issue is. Still, this is what they calling is a laundromat process. No, this is not a laundromat process. So my issue is, please, solve the problem. If anybody has this kind of machine, who has a small machine, which need for the process of a wet cleaning process.
Okay, so
that's my
I'm going to
question.
have the commissioner follow up with you directly, and she will make sure personally to see how we can resolve this issue. Thank you very much.
Now we go to this session, okay? Okay, Peter.
He gets one right there.
Yeah.
Okay, before I have no question to neither the commissioner. I just want to tell everybody this is a good mayor. You can follow him because he always keeps his word. 5 years ago, you were early in the library and you won the election, and you re-election to win again. And I think that we can trust him because he came here after election, not before election. So you are better than Michael Bloomberg. I think that you are. But the only thing I want to concern, I don't want to give you a question. I just want to tell you about Flushing. The mayor of Flushing here.
He's there.
We have very good teamwork because the 109 precinct already do a good job.
Yeah.
Flushing downtown have a lot of cash talk business.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous. That's ourselves. Okay. But I only one thing. We are the New Yorker. We got on the same page with you. In the future, doesn't matter what you do. And I know you need more money. But in case, we have to show our attitude. In case if the DC cut down our budget for New York City, if we want to have some page with you, what is the attitude we should do?
Excellent. Thank you. Excellent question. Thank you. And thank you for your kind comments, my friend. You're a good man. This point's very, very important. I want to speak to it because this is something that's happening right now, which is the situation in Washington, D.C. I want to remind people there are 3 profound threats to New York City. And I've said this more and more. New York City, if Washington would leave New York City alone, we could do very well. We have a wonderful, strong economy. So many people here in this audience are part of making our economy strong, creating jobs. We are the safest big city in America. Let's thank the NYPD again, the safest big city in America. At this moment in history, unfortunately, the only things we're hearing from Washington are things that could set us back. The Trump tax plan could take away a huge amount of revenue from New York City for things we depend on. Think about what we depend on from Washington: affordable housing, mass transit, education, infrastructure. The tax plan is going to reduce the federal budget intensely. That's going to come out of us, even though New York City pays much more in taxes to Washington than we get back. Also, middle class and working class New Yorkers would see a tax increase because of the plan being discussed in Washington. That's one problem. The second problem is they're trying again to take away the Affordable Care Act. 1.6 million New Yorkers get their health insurance from the Affordable Care Act. So it's a huge danger. Would also hurt our public hospitals and reduce their funding. Third problem is the federal budget itself. If the revenues are reduced greatly, not only will they cut money for the city, they will cut money for the state of New York. The state of New York will then turn around and cut the money they send to the city too. So we'll get double jeopardy. That's all going to play out in the next few months. So in terms of the attitude we would take, 2 things. One, we're going to fight every one of those bad policies. And we're working all over this country with Republican and Democratic mayors and Republican and Democratic senators and congresspeople to form an alliance to stop these bad policies. The second is, and I want to thank Councilmember Koo because he has been a leader in the council in making sure we had very strong financial reserves. So literally the city of New York has more money set aside to protect us than we've ever had in our history. And thank God we have it, because these cuts, and it literally could be in a matter of just the next few months, would take away so many of the things we care about. Teachers, police officers, all that would be threatened. We have the reserves to protect ourselves in the short term. We have a lot of work to do to protect ourselves for the long term.
Thank you, Mayor. We save for the rainy days, yeah. So don't worry, because too many people want to ask at the same time, right? We have time until 10 o'clock. You will get your turn, okay? So don't get up, because now you make my job difficult. All right? Okay, Christine here.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to make it really short and simple. 3 things.
One thing.
Okay. No, I got to give you...
No, one thing.
Okay, fine.
Everybody one thing.
I love Park NYC app. That's great. Okay, and I just like to thank you, huge thank you for, we've been trying 20 years to have Lunar New Year as a school holiday, but thing is, always fall into the spring recess. We're not really celebrating, so I just want to know, is it like always in the, like since like 4 years ago, it's never really celebrated?
It's whenever the calendar dictates. So this is true for all the religious holidays of any background. If the calendar puts the holiday on a school day, you get the school day off. If the calendar puts the holiday on a weekend or in a school break, then that's covered because it's a time when kids are off anyway. So we're not going to give artificially a different additional time off.
Okay.
It's only when it actually falls on a school day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right, go to this session. M. Paul.
Hi, I have a simple little problem. So the Bound House is the oldest building, or one of the oldest buildings in New York City. It is next to Weeping Beach Park that was once part of the farm. The problem we have is a quality of life issue. The Bound House is 15 feet from the park. People smoke, they drink, they congregate in encampments, and it is now, after 5 years, gotten progressively worse. The museum has had a capital project. Because of the open park agreement, the park
So wait,
staff have been
just
fabulous.
help me
Had a
to the
difficult-
punchline. What are you looking for?
We would like that portion of the park closed because it's going to go back to the museum when the capital project is available, the monies are available.
Okay.
To protect the house from the
I got it.
quality of life issues.
No,
At this point, we can't have school kids there.
I appreciate the point. Dottie, what can you tell me?
Actually, I am aware of it. Hi, I'm Dottie Lewandowski, Queens Parks Commissioner. Ann is raising an important issue. We now have additional PEP officers, thanks to the council member and the mayor, who are actually patrolling that area is working well. I wasn't aware that you wanted to close. I'm certainly interested in looking at that with you. There are some quality of life issues. We're working with the police department on those. And if locking the park in the evening hours may help, I think we can do that.
Okay, great. So you'll follow up.
I must add that
Please.
Inspector Harrison have set up enforcement on the pond. Yeah.
Great. Thanks. But Dottie, you'll follow up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, now let's go here for a question. Let's go somebody in the back. Okay, Timothy Chong. Yeah.
Mayor, welcome to Flushing, and we want to thank you, Peter Koo, our Councilman Peter Koo, invite you come to the Flushing. Because you are the Empire City Mayor, we are very difficult to face to you, to talk to you. So we thank, first I want to thank the Inspector Harrison and that guy who.
Okay, what's your concern, sir? Sir, come over here. Tell me what you want to talk about.
Ask a question.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to appreciate it because the Flushing is so busy, and that's why, because the 109 precinct doing a good job, and that guy have long hair,
Sir,
right now
sir,
no hair.
Everybody, hold on.
Okay.
Everybody, I want to tell you, we have a lot of people who want to ask questions. Don't spend time complimenting people. We
all
don't
right.
need compliments. It's very nice. Tell us
we
what's
need
on your
a
mind.
Traffic enforcement agent.
Traffic enforcement agent.
Agent, because Flushing short traffic.
Okay, I got an answer for you. Ready?
Okay, all right.
Okay, good question. Traffic enforcement agents. Flushing is one of the most congested areas in all of New York City. Council member has asked for more traffic enforcement agents. Chief has asked for more traffic enforcement agents. We will get you more traffic enforcement agents for downtown Flushing.
Thank you. That's a good answer. Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Okay, now we come here. Okay, now we come to this lady in the
You have
front.
to make sure it happens now. I made a public pledge. You have to make sure it happens.
Good evening, Mayor de Blasio. My name is Miss Wayne. I'm the president of James A. Bland Resident Association. I'm coming with our concerns. We want our a community center open up. The community center is a vital program for the young people, for after-school program, teen program. We also had a language art program where we taught Chinese, Spanish, all kind of different languages, and we'll also keep down the crime in our area if we can get that community center back open.
Okay, now this, again, thank you for the question. I'll start, and then our chair will add. Look, again, my job is to tell people the truth, that we have put a lot of new resources into NYCHA all over the city. We're trying to fix a lot of mistakes of the past, especially the ones that have to do with health and safety. So the roofs, for example, security systems, et cetera, lighting. There are some places we've been able to reopen community centers. We don't have enough resources to do it everywhere we want to. And I think this is one where we're not ready yet. That's the honest truth. We will keep it an option for the future. But again, honesty is the best policy. We do not have the resources to do it now. When we're in better shape, it's something I'd like to try and do in the future, but I can't do it right now. That's the truth. I will keep you in mind. Thank you.
Okay, we go to this one. Okay, the gentleman over there. Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm here on behalf of the Star Trek Youth Cycling Program, which operates out of the Casino Velodrome. I'm here to ask you for your consideration to help fund and rehabilitate the Casino Velodrome. Star Trek is a youth outreach program that helps get under-resourced children onto bicycles, unplugged from their devices, away from bad decisions, drugs, and in many cases keeps kids off the streets.
I got you. You are looking for more money for the velodrome.
We are, yes.
Okay, thank you.
We have a thriving cycling community.
I know you do, and
only
so,
one velodrome in New York City.
I know, and that is a very good point. So let me say it's a variation on the same point that I said to the president a moment ago. I'm aware of it. The team's aware of it. It will be under discussion in the budget process coming up to the preliminary budget that'll come out in January or February. I'm not there yet. I'll be straightforward with you. I don't have it locked on yet, but it has reached the nomination stage, and we are paying attention to it. So I'm going to see what we can do in this next budget, working with the council member. And it's the Star Trek program. Star Trek. So I say live long and prosper. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, now I think I have to ask somebody from here. Mr. Kim, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, and elected officials for giving us this opportunity. I'm Kwang Kim. I'm a social worker and a president of Korean Community Services. I have a concern about the mental health issue in the community. Thank you, the mayors and First Lady's effort to discuss mental health in New York City. It is very important and much needed. So we thank you for all that you have done to bring this important issue to light.
All right, bring up your concern now.
Yeah, now going on. Thrive in New York City has been a great way to create programming around the mental health. However, it would be great to have some funding available for the community groups that are already providing the services on the ground. Currently, as it stands, through Thrive in the NYC, we can request to have a social worker placed at our clinics. However, because the social worker is a city employee, we cannot receive reimbursement for the service that they provided. And some of the challenges with this initiative.
Okay, well, I think we got the basic concept here. So also, if we're providing it, though, we cover the cost, don't we?
Yeah, we.
This is our health commissioner, Dr. Bassett. Go ahead.
Good evening,
Thank
sir.
you.
I'm really glad that you're benefiting from this program. We're very proud of it. I think it's a little bit complicated, so let me speak with you about it afterwards. But these are people who are actually employed through the city university system, through their nonprofit. They are students in a sense that they are getting their supervised hours, and that's the principal intention of the program is to provide services to clients and to provide hours to these recent graduates.
So let's do this. She will
I'll
follow
speak
up.
with you afterwards.
The commissioner will follow up. But let me say thank you, and I will pass on your comments to my wife. She'll appreciate it. But the goal of Thrive is to make more and more mental health services available at the community level, to make her culturally competent in every language. So the commissioner will follow up and make sure that between her agency and the First Lady's team that they're doing everything they can to support your organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. The gentleman in the front, yeah.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Peter Koo. What Tina, like BID president mentioned, because Lot 1, a lot of our merchants, I'm a small business merchant association, like 43 of our merchant association lost their business because of Lot 1 project, because they lost parking space. So one of the things that Councilman Peter Koo helped us out was for beautification, Union Street beautification funding, which was 5 years ago, $500,000. We're trying to get DOT to help us help the business out because of constructions, all our members have a lot of problems.
Where exactly, please?
That's our merchants are Union Street between Northern Boulevard and Roosevelt Avenue.
Okay, and forgive my ignorance, is there construction still going on now?
It's done.
It's done.
But
Phase 1 is done. Phase 1 is done.
So what? Give me a very specific thing you're asking for.
Yes, there was a funding for $500,000 to help the businesses out because of the construction, but we cannot use that money for 5 years. DOT has the money.
Okay. Do you, Polly, does this make sense to you?
Yeah, this is not one I'm familiar with, but
Okay.
I'm happy
You'll
to.
follow up?
I'll come.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
well,
but
I will
again,
come catch you and talk to you and see if we can figure it
Let's
out.
see if we can figure a way. We weren't here 5 years ago, but let's see if we can find a way to help you with that. We'll follow up. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now I go to this session.
I'll catch you afterwards.
This gentleman right there. Yeah.
한국말로 하겠습니다. 저 트랜슬레이터 please.
We have a translator? I'm listening for a translator.
Korean.
Who's doing it?
뭐 그래도 되고요.
Korean translator. Marco, what's going on? Marco is not the Korean translator, but he's supposed to know where the Korean translator is.
Right there. She's there.
We're not going to do the overhead?
Translate.
Okay.
저는
right there. Sure.
Wait, she's ready? Okay, go ahead.
저는 저 민권센터에서 커뮤니티 멤버로 활동하고 있는 최정명입니다.
My name is Jung Myung Choi. I am working as the I'm part of the Minkwon Center Community Center.
우선 시니어 하우징의 개념이 너무 모호하고 어렵습니다. 시니어 하우징.
First of all, the concept of senior housing is very complicated and hard to understand.
뉴욕시에는 시니어 하우징뿐만 아니라 affordable housing, public housing, city housing, 다양한 종류의 하우징이 있습니다.
Besides senior housing, in New York City, there's affordable housing, New York housing, and others like that.
솔직히 저희가 바라는 것은 시장 가격보다 저렴하게 집을 구해 사는 것인데 저희는 이 개념들의 차이를 잘 알지 못합니다.
All we're asking for is basically to get housing for prices that are lower than what's out in the market, and all these differences don't really speak to us.
Okay.
또한 이러한 하우징을 구하기 위해서 디파트먼트 for the aging 사이트에 접속해 보았지만 제대로 된 번역본을 구할 수가 없었습니다.
We've been to the Department of Aging website, but
Okay.
proper translation.
I've got it.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I've learned something today that the word in Korean for senior housing is senior housing. Okay, so that's good to know. We want to make the way people apply for senior housing simpler.
저희도 시니어 하우징에 그 어플라이하는 방법을 조금 더 단순하게 바꾸기 위해 노력하고 있습니다.
Because we are greatly increasing the amount of affordable senior apartments that will be available.
저희는 조금 더 저렴한 가격으로 가질 수 있는 시니어 하우징을 더 많이 하도록 지금 노력하고 있습니다.
So our Department of Housing will follow up with you to make sure that all of the appropriate materials are translated into Korean, and that if we're working with a community organization like yours, that we have people available to help your organization navigate the different programs.
저희는 커미셔너를 통해서 그 한국어 등 다양한 언어로 그 번역본이 있도록 하도록 노력하겠고, 그리고 또 민권센터 같은 그런 비영리 단체들을 통해서도 이런 것들이 조금 더 간단하게 될 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다.
Thank you. So we'll follow up right away. Thank you. Go ahead, Peter.
감사합니다.
I'm going to go to this side. I point something. That gentleman there.
I don't know.
Thank you for the mayor come to Flushing. I'm from Henan Chinese American Associates. So from Henan Dongxianghui. Thank you. As we know, New York City is beautiful and the mayor is handsome. And
I like this question. It's a very, very smart person asking this question.
And the city, more and more people come to live in the city. But I know the city and the administration take a lot of effort to improve the infrastructure. But however, I found the traffic becomes slower and slower. Yeah. Like today, I drive from Brooklyn to here. It spent 2 hours.
Yeah.
But actually, sometimes I know the city want the people to take the public transportation.
Yes.
But sometimes it's not practical. Suppose
Your question is how?
My question is how the traffic becomes slower and slower. Yes. The city have what you will take what means and what plan to improve the traffic.
Okay, I will start, and thank you very much. I'll start, and the commissioner will finish. We really believe if we greatly increase the amount of mass transit, which means the select bus service, It means the ferry service. It means the light rail between Brooklyn and Queens. It means City Bike. Excuse me, everything we can do. That's going to change things a lot. But the second thing is to improve the flow of traffic. And we're going to start a very important experiment. Commissioner will explain it to you. Starting in January, some very new approaches to end some of the congestion, particularly related to delivery vehicles, and particularly in the rush hours. And some of that's going to actually start right here in Queens. Commissioner.
Right, and actually, one approach that we're going to get finished by the end of this year is something called Flushing in Motion, which we've used in Midtown. We're going to work to retime the signals in 15 different very key intersections. We hope that will help somewhat with the flow of traffic in Flushing. And then, as the mayor mentioned, we're looking to do some bigger experiments, particularly looking at how we can clear curbs during the rush hour period. We're going to actually start in Roosevelt Avenue over in Jackson Heights, and if that works, bring it over here into Flushing. We're going to be looking also at creating more moving lanes. We're going to try and work with the state to see what we can do to do some work together on the highways. I was on the road tonight, and yes, it was pretty bad on a lot of the highways tonight. So the mayor's announced a big congestion plan. Some of the things we're going to be starting with right here in Flushing, and other things trying out in other parts of the city, and we'll see what we can do that'll work.
Thank you.
Okay, no, one of you, which one represent all you? Just one person. Yeah. Okay. Just sit down. Sit down.
我代表电摊车送外卖，各种注册西班牙飞。
Hold on, we have translation ready.
翻译啊。
Yes. Okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
纽约送外卖的电单车，我要求政府给予合法化。为什么？纽约民以食为天，纽约吃外卖的起码几十万、100万人去。
Okay.
We have served the food, and we have to deliver the food, and we want to New York City can give us more protection.
Wait, I'm understand when he says serving the food, delivering the food.
Delivering the food, yes.
But who? Who is he representing?
你代表的是谁？
May I translate for him? May I translate for him? And
bicycle.
He's one of the e-bike delivery worker, and his question is he's
One of the which workers? I'm sorry.
e-bike delivery worker.
Oh, okay. Good.
And he's thinking city can legalize protection for e-bike workers because most of them are immigrants.
I got it. Thank you. Thank you for the question. So, okay, we want to be very clear. The policy that we are going to implement starting in January related to the e-bikes. The state law today says e-bikes are not legal to be used on the streets of New York City. It has been happening for a long time, that's true, but it actually has not been legal, and we are not going to allow it to continue. Other forms of deliveries, you can use a car, you can use a regular bicycle, you can go on foot, there's all sorts of other ways to deliver food, but we're not going to allow e-bikes. There is the chance to change the state law in Albany next year if we can find a way to do it that protects public safety. And we will certainly see if there's some way to do that. But right now, it's become increasingly clear around the city that the e-bikes have created a safety problem for pedestrians. We made a very clear decision that we're not going to allow their use. Now, we've told the businesses, you have all the way till January to change your approach. And before there were e-bikes, people still managed to deliver food and other services. But the penalties are going to be focused on the businesses, not the people who ride the bikes. Any fines, any penalties will be directed at the business owners.
所以呢，我们现在是明令的禁止这个e-bike呢是不允许使用的，直到1月份为止。但是呢，我们将来的罚款呢，这个罚款呢将会是你们的所在的那个公司，而不是你们本人。我们不会罚你们本人。
我认为那个电动车对民众没有造成伤害。能不能翻译一下
？That's it. Next question.
One at a time. No, sit down. Okay. The lady in the back, in the blue shirt. Yeah, right there. Where you? Yeah. In the blue shirt.
Hey, thank you, Councilman, Mayor. I'm here with Guardians of Flushing Bay.
Flushing Bay and Creek are important assets to area residents and recreational human-powered boaters. They come from all over New York City to use the waterways. Unfortunately, Flushing Bay and Creek actually have the highest amount of combined sewage overflow pollution in the city. And it's actually up to 3 billion gallons of discharge per year. So in order to kind of look at that, the city's long-term control plan, which was recently approved by the state, it actually doesn't at all propose reducing that flow of raw sewage and unfiltered stormwater, which would make it so that they're actually proposing chlorination, which is an unproven technology, and it will still allow toxic chemicals and trash, oils, smells, plastics, and other pollutions to continue. So my question is, can the city revisit this plan to include the reduction in capture, not chlorination, of combined sewage overflow to make these central waterways safer for both wildlife and people?
So I'm going to, before the commissioner speaks, first of all, thank you for a very heartfelt question, and I know you've done your research. I'm not sure that means we agree with you. So I want Commissioner to begin by expressing whether he agrees to all the premises of the question. This is our DP Commissioner, Vinny Sapienza.
And thank you for the question. So you mentioned two water bodies, Flushing Creek and Flushing Bay. So just first on Flushing Creek, folks may know we built a $400 million storage tank about 10 years ago. That's capturing about half of the wastewater that was overflowing into the creek. It's done a great job. There's certainly more to do. For Flushing Bay, we recently submitted a $1.6 billion plan to the state for approval to build a 25 million gallon storage tunnel. So those are the plans going forward. There's always going to be, just like there's a lot of traffic sometimes, there's always going to be overflows. Essentially, no matter how much storage, we can find space to build. And so what we're proposing is when there are those periodic overflows is that we will add bleach to it to disinfect what goes over. You know, it's to build enough storage capacity to capture every drop of rainfall that hits the street. It's just there's no place to put it, and we frankly can't afford it. It's
Would you speak to the chlorination issue? That when your quote was quote unquote unproven approach. Would you say it is an unproven approach, or would you say it's a proven approach, or what would you say?
So a lot of municipalities around the country have been doing it. We'll all agree it's difficult to control, but we think our operators can do it, and that's the plan that both the state and the city are moving forward with.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll take this lady.
Is any of the affordable housing going to be smoke-free housing in Flushing?
Excellent question, and I have been stumped. I don't know if Chief of Staff at the Housing Department, Leiden Sleeper.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I will find out and get back to you before this meeting ends.
Okay, so by the way, thank you for the question, but I want to say this begs a bigger question, which is when we build new affordable housing, do we make it smoke-free by nature or not? So let's find that out too.
Will do.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, now we go this here. I have too many people. Okay, you.
世简先生，晚上好，你非常辛苦。我是。
We have the translation ready?
Chinese.
Okay, and I just want to say as we start, I have been informed that at the end, when I give my final answer, I don't need to wait for you to translate it publicly because you're going to be able to hear it on the headset. So when we're going back and forth, I need you, but when I've given my final answer, then we'll move to the next question because he'll get a translation. Go ahead.
我是纽约华人喜农协会的代表。
Yeah, I'm one of the representative of Chinese community in Flushing.
今年的喜农新的法案，市长应该都知道。
Okay. About this laundry, new law, I'm sure your honor knows that.
这种新的政策，这几天市长都在我们华人的各大媒体。 我们的洗农的行业都在抗议。
In this past few days, all our workers in this field, the laundry, we are protesting.
在抗议当中，消费局已经有让步，让我们从 11月30号申请截止，今年的新的执照是12月31号到期。
Okay, let me get the translation. And this, we may be ready to already answer. Let me hear your translation first.
Okay. The deadline for applying.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to stop the question because we already know the answer, so we want to give you the answer. Commissioner, give the answer again.
Yes.
And I put on your headset so you can hear it.
Thank you so much for your question, and we have certainly heard your concerns. We have decided to extend the period of the application so you have more time to comply with the requirements, but we're also looking into simplifying them so that it'll be easier for you to get licensed, and we don't want to make it more complicated. Okay, so I'm happy to talk to you if you have particular questions, but we have already decided across the board that people will have more time, at least 3 months, and we will consider extensions of time for those who are finding difficulties.
Thank you. New question. Thank you.
Okay, now I go to this. Okay, the lady in the back, the lady there. Wait, the lady. Yeah. Right.
Everyone's been waiting a long time. We're going to do as many as we can until 10 o'clock. Keep going, everyone.
Welcome, Mayor. Question. Okay, first of all, we run a food pantry here in Flushing. We serve over 10,000 people a month.
God bless you.
So we do a good job.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause.
The question that I have is, when you deliver the food to us, we really appreciate it very much, but when they park to deliver the food to us, the traffic agents come in and give us a ticket for $150 every time we receive food.
For the trucks that bring food to the food pantry.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And all the volunteers that come in and deliver food. So it costs us around thousands of dollars a month, too.
Got it. I got it. Commissioner, I know you got the law to enforce. Pete, so I'm always confused on traffic enforcement between DOT and PD.
We're often the ones who handle the signage and the regulations at the curb, and then NYPD enforces. So we need to take a look at what's happening at that particular curb.
So you may be able to create some new signage there.
Yeah, let us come take a look, and we'll work with
precinct? Which precinct? Okay. So inspector for PD and commissioner will assign someone. Let's see if we can either change the signage or change the enforcement to give more flexibility. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now I go here.
Keep going.
Okay, the man, gentleman. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Ben Haber, and I was one of the plaintiffs.
Is that on? Yeah.
Hello?
Okay.
My name is Ben Haber, and I was one of the plaintiffs in the recent New York Court of Appeals case that upheld alienation requirements before parkland could be usurped by private developers. If my recollection is correct, Mr. Mayor, you were a member of the City Council in 2008 and voted in favor of the 2008 Willis Point Plan. The then Mayor Bloomberg reneged on his promise to Community Board 7 that it would have input in the developer selection process without any community input. He reneged on that, gave it to the Wilpons and the billionaire friends without any input from Parkland 7. Those bunch of phonies never had any intention of doing the 2008 Willis Point Plan. They wanted a gambling casino. And when that didn't happen, they then let it stay dormant. Then they came up with the ridiculous plan that these billionaires needed money to do it. And the way to do it is to turn the City Field parking lot into a 1.4 million square foot shopping mall to make money to build it. That's the absolute nonsense, ridiculous. They were compounded by a terrible city hall that agreed to it. They gave them the Willis Point property that cost us hundreds of millions of dollars for $1. They gave them $100 million in subsidies. They gave them $50 million in tax abatement.
Okay, I know where you're going.
Okay, here's where I'm going, Mr. Mayor. You have a chance now to prove that action is more important than words. Tell us now, parks are not to be touched by private developers. No mall on Willis Point, no mall on Parkland. and we want to go back to the 2008 Willis Point plan, which includes housing. These phonies got a deal from the city council, $34 million they forfeit and walk away.
I
No
like
way.
your passion. I like your passion, brother.
Thank you.
Okay. I want affordable housing. So it's a very simple answer. I want affordable housing. I obviously believe that parkland should not be alienated unless an equivalent land is created. But I want affordable housing. So the city's position now, exactly to your point, the earlier plans focused on affordable housing, and then funny things happened along the way, and suddenly there wasn't affordable housing. Now the whole thing is up for grabs again. Our message to all the other stakeholders is, we're not going to move on anything unless there's enough affordable housing, period. So that's how we're approaching it. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, brother.
Okay, we take a question from the young man there. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Muhammad, and I'm a student at Flushing International High School, which is the school. Yeah. So, first, I would like to thank you for being here, and I will get straight forward to the question. So, as a young Muslim man, what are the things you are going to do to make me feel safe and to make my Muslim community feel safe?
Thank you. Well, I appreciate the question, and let's start from the beginning. It's sad that you even have to ask the question. That's the reality we're facing in this country today. I'm very proud of New York City. In response to a horrible national discourse at this point that has vilified the Muslim community and treated so many people unfairly, this city has taken the exact opposite approach. This city has been welcoming and inclusive of our Muslim communities, most notably by deciding, after years of activism by the community, we decided to recognize the 2 Eid holidays in our public schools. We ended the surveillance program of the previous administration that was directed against the Muslim community. We continue to uphold Muslim leadership within our administration, in our government, including 900 Muslim American officers in NYPD. Our message in every way is inclusion, welcome, respect. And we are fighting against any actions by the federal government that are discriminatory toward the Muslim community. So I think New York City, in fact, has very consistently said, we will not tolerate bias crime, we will not tolerate discrimination, we will use the full weight of city government to protect the community. Thank you.
Okay, this young girl, right? Yeah.
Thanks. Hello. I'm most concerned about bullying in schools. Like, we see worse things happen in like middle schools and high schools about bullying, and we don't see action. Like, I personally haven't seen any action about bullying. I see worse cases in like the news and breaking news, everything. So how can you improve, like, make bullying decrease or change?
Thank you for the question. Very important question. I'll start, and then the Deputy Chancellor will add. So I am a parent, but I was a parent of public school kids until just a few years ago. And they would tell me stories all the time of what happened in schools and a lot of things that they found upsetting when they saw people treated unfairly. I think the bullying situation has unquestionably grown. I think the digital age has made it worse and more complex. I think the solution has to come from a combination of teachers and other educators, plus parents, plus students. So part of this is taking every report seriously and making it easier to report, and the Deputy Chancellor will talk about some of the new approaches we're taking to make it easier to report, never sweeping it under the rug, addressing it, and also some of the restorative justice and peer counseling approaches that hopefully allow us to take a problem once it's identified, not let it fester, but actually have people have to work it out together. So Deputy Chancellor, why don't you explain how we're doing some of that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. He's absolutely right. We do have a Respect for All program in every school in New York City. We want you to tell us if anything is troubling in your schools. We have 2 superintendents here today that will follow up with you at the end, if you can tell us your school, and we'll help you with that. But you should never feel embarrassed, and you should never be afraid to tell an adult in your school. We have guidance counselors there, the principal, the assistant principals, everybody's there to help you. It's most important for you to tell us what's happening. So thank you for your question, and thank you for bringing it up.
This gentleman here, yeah, you have a question?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome, Mayor, to Flushing. I'm Tim Hall. I'm an architect. The director of SARA, the Society of American Registered Architects. I have a concern regarding our city's building. I think in the past years...
Get a little closer with the microphone. What's the concern?
Our city's buildings. In the past years, I saw many ugly buildings exist in our city. This affect our community quality, affect the neighborhood. Many ugly buildings. My question is how to avoid, how to prevent the ugly building.
Okay, that's a very, first of all, very much in the eye of the beholder, as we would say. And I think it's hard to say whether there were more ugly buildings or fewer in the past or in the present. It's an interesting question, though. Here's what I'm going to ask. Well, it's buildings department, but it's also city planning. So come on over, city planning. I don't know. I don't have a perfect answer to this. We are not the arbiters. We're not the arbiters of taste, right? I mean, the city government does not say, we will tell you if your building is acceptably beautiful or not. Or we like this style, we don't like that style. In the previous administration, sometimes city planning decided they would get involved in the discussions of style. We don't think that's our place. If we think a building is inappropriate in some other ways, we can act. But on the question of sort of what the governing philosophy is at city planning on aesthetics, can you give us the simplest answer?
Sure. I would say our governing philosophy is that we think buildings have to reinforce the character of neighborhoods and help contribute to great places. But really what we try to do that is just regulate the height and massing and the way buildings relate to other existing buildings on the street. As the mayor said, we are not the arbiters of what materials or what sort of other elements constitute good design.
We're not the style police. Okay, thank you for your question.
Come on here. Okay, you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councilman. I want to draw your attention to one of the very few public spaces that are currently available in downtown Flushing, specifically called Lippman Plaza, in terms of improving quality of life here. So it's a mid-block pedestrian corridor connecting 7 train to all the other buses and the municipal Lot 1, used by about 10,000 people or more on a daily basis. But it suffers from poor lighting, maintenance issues, vandalism, and poor winter snow clearance. So this plaza desperately currently needs stronger oversight and physical improvement. So I want to ask how we can better work with the city to really better that plaza space to really serve the residents and businesses currently located in downtown Flushing.
Okay, so let me start and then the commissioner will jump in. We're aware of the concern. This is in the same category as some of the other issues that were raised. In the hierarchy of need, in terms of all the things we're trying to do in Flushing, it's not the top of our list, to be very honest, but I am concerned about 2 things you said, lighting and snow removal, because both of those get to safety. And I hadn't heard that number before, that 10,000 people use a day, but whatever number of people use it a day, that's a substantial number of people. So, Commissioner, on those 2 issues, narrowly, not promising yet we will, redo the whole thing and make it perfect. But on the lighting issue and on the snow removal, what can we do to improve the situation?
We certainly will come out and we can come out and take a look at the lighting levels and see if we need to add more lighting and work with sanitation on potential snow removal. And this is an issue that the council member has brought to our attention. We really need, I think, to make more improvements to that. It's not actually technically a plaza. We really need to have a community partner that we can work with. That's typically what we do with public spaces. So that's something we can work on with you, council member.
Sure, then maybe the RV or some organization, they can work with our office and Commissioner Trottenberg, yeah. Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you. We'll
talk.
follow up.
We have this gentleman there. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll try to keep this quick. Mr. Mayor, I think you and Mr. Koo are doing a fantastic job, as well as the administration. But what is going on with Flushing High School? I've heard that it's going to be shut down soon. So what is the city going to do to ensure that the future of Flushing has a fighting chance? I understand that Flushing High School has one of the highest student-to-teacher ratios. Can the city provide more resources to make sure that things run much more smoothly and give them a chance in the future?
So I'll start and pass to the Deputy Chancellor. Look, it's no secret the school has had trouble, and it's no secret the school has not achieved some of the turnaround we'd like to have seen so far. We are, first of all, constantly trying to improve, and the Deputy Chancellor will talk about that. We're also going to make decisions by the end of this year about some of our schools, and if we're going to make changes, we will also make sure that we accommodate the kids and we come up with good alternatives. But we have not made a final decision yet about Flushing High School. But let's talk about the changes that we've tried to make right away.
We recently put in a new principal there, Mr. Arcadia, and he's doing a good job. We put in a UFT teacher center there. We're devoted to the students and the teachers in that school, and we want to make sure that things are going in the right direction. We're looking at staffing, and we're looking to make sure that there's enough staff there. It's a very large student population, and we want Flushing High School to succeed. So we are working with you. If you have specific questions at the end, we can talk about that if there are any specific incidents. But we're very much involved with the school there, with the new principal. The superintendent has been there quite a bit, and we do want this to be a successful endeavor. So thank you for your question.
Council member, call on someone.
Okay. The lady there, right there, in the dark shirt, dark T-shirt, yeah.
You get a microphone.
My name is Maureen Regan, and I'd like to ask a question, but I'll defer to Beverly.
Go ahead.
And then I'll ask my question.
No, one or the other, my friend.
Well, I appreciate her deferring to me because we've been trying to get this question answered for past 10 years.
Yes.
We have reclaimed the old town of Flushing burial ground 10 years ago. And for the past 10 years, we have been trying to get that cemetery restored so that it can have the respect and dignity that it should in this community. We have $100,000 that was allocated to us by Helen Marshall, your former borough president.
Yep.
To date, we have not been able to get the Parks Department to work with us to put in the proper memorial that would allow the people in the neighborhood to recognize the site as a cemetery.
Okay.
It was plowed over and a playground put on it in 1936 under the excellent leadership of Mandingo Shaka. We got it reclaimed, and we have been trying now to make it an area that people recognize for what it is.
Okay.
Sacred ground, not a place to walk your dog.
I got you.
Or
I got
allow it to become overgrown the way it is.
Thank you. I understand fully the question. Dottie, what are we doing to address this?
Well, as you're aware, in 2006, the park was actually relocated and the playground was moved so that the burial area, where there's over 200 persons that were interned, could be memorialized. So there is a memorial plaque there. When we did that work, it was done in communication and approval of Community Board 7. But since that time, there's been an organization, the Conservancy, who's interested in doing more.
Right.
So we've been working with them. There is $100,000 from a former borough president, Helen Marshall. But
Okay.
this borough president, Melinda Katz, is working with us.
I'm looking for a
We're
punchline,
meeting-
though.
there is a
They're
meeting-
concerned. Hold
There
on.
is a meeting in 2 weeks at
Yeah.
the borough president's office that you're all invited to. We're going to advance or talk about the design that we've been speaking on together, and we'll be seeking additional funding. And both the borough president and the council member have
Okay,
said that they would help
Dottie,
us do that
Dottie,
project.
this is good, but too many words. I need to get to a bottom line. What is it going to take to make sure the area is properly recognized and respected? What will it take?
It currently has a marker. There's currently signage that does that. They would like more. So we're
Right.
going to work with them to do a little bit more.
Okay,
And there's
so
a meeting at the borough president's
okay, I'm
office in 2 weeks.
I'm going to allow a clarification. Let's get the microphone back because I want to understand what that.
What we have at that site are signs on the gate that say Old Town of Flushing Burial Ground, and right next to them are signs that tell the public how they are to behave in a public park.
Right.
This is not a park.
You mean it sends the wrong message?
It's sending
so just
the wrong
in the
message.
fewest words, I totally appreciate, hold on, keep it for a second. Believe me, I get the bottom line of your concern. Tell me the exact thing you want. Exactly what do you want to see change?
What we want is the Parks Department to allow the $100,000 that was dedicated to us to be used to put the proper memorials there so that the people in the neighborhood recognize it and
Got it.
stop walking
So
their dogs.
that sounds very simple. What is the problem with getting that done? What's in the way of getting that
We are
done?
working to do that. It'll take a little bit more funding in both the borough
How much more
residents-
funding?
Close to $1 million.
$1 million?
Yes, sir.
To put up signage?
No, it's not a signage. They want more of a memorial marker. We've been working with the Public Design Commission
Okay.
to come up with a plan.
Okay, hold on.
And
No,
we're
don't-
working
don't-
on it.
So whoa. Don't shake your head at everything because we're trying to work together here. So listen to me. I'm trying to get you to yes, I want to achieve your goal. We have a budget process that is working towards the preliminary budget in January or February, working with the City Council. If we're talking about $1 million, that's serious money, but I'm interested in resolving the issue. So I would like, and council member, if you'll work with us on this, you all are having a meeting next week?
I think it's in not next week, the week after. In the
I
Borough
want a
President.
price tag to come out. I want a common plan and a price tag, and I want the price tag brought to the budget process. Who covers this area for CAU? Nick? Okay, you're going to be my guarantor. Okay? Will you be at the meeting, please? I want to know how much money it will take to make this right, and I want a timeline. Okay? He's your man right there. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank
yeah.
you.
So this is an important issue for us. Yeah. Thank you. Now I go to, let's see, okay, the lady, in the, yeah.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to say thank you first to NYC parking application that I'm using it. I really appreciate it. My name is Kwang Ok Song, and I'm owner of the business of right front of the 109 precinct, corner of Union Street and 37th Avenue. And Ms. Commanding Officers, Ms. Harrison is my neighbor. And
what's your question?
My question is, we're having a little difficult time to the delivery, getting a delivery because of the parking space, lack of a parking space. We're getting a tractor trailer is coming, and it has to be the double parking and all those. So I'd like to highly asking, see, there's a parking, delivery loading zone that we can have some either around that 37th Avenue near Union Street. So there's a traffic flow can go easily, or the delivery truck or the driver can not
Got it.
having issue or ticket.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner, I know this is a tough one because we don't have enough space. We have too many people, too many vehicles, but I understand the concern. Is there some way to allow the deliveries that does not only involve double parking? I'm not sure there's a great answer. What is the answer?
I mean, look, we'll come and take a look, and I think my staff has actually been out there before. This is one where we need to work with PD because this is an area, it's curb space that has a lot of city uses as well as commercial uses. So let us see if we can find some way to clear a bit more of the curb.
Okay, they'll follow up to see how.
So can you talk to the commissioner afterwards? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see. Huh? This young boy, you have a question? Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, I am a parent of a missing child from September 29, and I am not here to make a question, just for as a favor, to change the rules of the school to make a robotic phone call when the child doesn't assist at the school.
When the child doesn't attend, you mean, to let
Yes.
the family know right away?
Yes.
Okay.
My child get out of my house at 6:35 a.m. And then I received the phone call at 6 o'clock or 5 at evening. I didn't know if my child run away, like the police said. I didn't know if somebody take away. But the thing is, she have all day to the bad things happen on my life.
So you're saying, and I'm very, very sorry you're going through this. Let me say as a parent also, I'm very sorry for everything you're experiencing. You're saying you want to make sure the school alerts parents immediately if a child doesn't show up.
to me is like send a school to make a phone call like
Right.
around 9:30.
So okay. So but Dorita, just for everyone's benefit, what is the standard now if a child doesn't show up in school? How quickly do we try and notify parents?
Very quickly. The principal really gets an attendance list from the teacher. They call the parent, and they.
So it should happen earlier in
It
the
should happen
day.
early. It shouldn't happen
Okay.
at the end of the day. You shouldn't have gotten a robocall. You should have gotten a personal phone call.
Okay, so what you're trying to achieve is exactly right, and that's what's supposed to happen. We should find out why it didn't happen here, Dorita. Will you
Yes,
look into
I will.
that? And are the police working with you, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
When did your child disappear? What school?
September 25, Veritas Academy.
Good evening, Mayor. How are you? One of my concerns is what are we going to do to ensure security and the safety of the students, whether it's in middle school and high school. I have a cousin that is currently going to be going to high school, and in my prior high school, there was a stabbing going on due to the lack of security in the schools. So that's one of my main concerns, especially because my cousin lives with me, and she's going to be going into high school where there's going to be more dangers and more more stabbings and stuff like that.
Well, I want to really emphasize, I appreciate your concern for your cousin, but, I don't want you to have the impression that our schools are filled with those kind of dangers. There have been some horrible incidents, and we don't for a moment miss that fact. But thank God, crimes and violence in school has been steadily decreasing, for years now. Schools are a lot safer than they ever were. Which school specifically are you talking about?
One of the schools is John Bowne High School.
Okay. Do we have school safety here, and someone can speak about John Bowne High School? School safety. Okay, come on over. Can you speak about that site?
Right. I am Inspector Moscat from the School Safety Division. And John Bowne is a school that has had an increase of violence from that stabbing incident last year, and one or two incidents most recently, very recently. And we form a partnership between DOE, school safety, the local precinct, and the parents and the students as well, in trying to really find out what's going on with the issues that cause these violent situations, threatening situations, and we try to address it with the students, with the local community, with we even take a close look at the routes that the kids take from the subway to the schools. We've been very, very successful in a lot of these situations, and we will be at John Bowne as well.
Okay, wait, we're not going to do the back and forth. Okay, you raised a concern. It's an important concern. What I want you to add, though, so here's, as I said, most schools we've seen consistent improvement. System-wide, we've seen crime and violent incidents are down 35% in 5 years, continue to go down. But the question here is, when you have a situation like this, give us a little more of the flavor of, what kind of turnaround we expect, what kind of progress we expect. For example, how long has it been since those incidents?
Well, the stabbing incident was last year. Right. And what we did in the wake of that was immediately put in scanning in that school, so the whole school community would immediately feel much, much safer. We've had many scanning programs at John Bowne, so that's one thing, while we're trying to figure out exactly what is causing these
And have we seen a decrease in incidents?
We have seen. The numbers weren't very, very high, but they were alarming because it was a very serious incident.
So before you talk, I'm going to do a little tutorial. Chief, this is for the benefit of all of your folks under your command, too. When you tell people legitimately that there were some incidents and the situation got worse, it's important to tell them if the measures you put in place actually worked to address it, because you told the bad news without telling the good news. So there were incidents. We never hide the fact when there's a problem. We want parents to know. We want students to know. But since those incidents, the measures you put in place have changed the situation, and the level of violence has gone back down, correct?
It has gone down.
Okay, so I want you to help people know that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But in addition to what Inspector Moscat is saying, we also increased the amount of agents that are in the building, patrols in the building. So we have a lot of visibility in the building. And like he said, it's a collaborative effort between the precinct, between administration in the building. So, we've definitely increased our relationships, and we're building inside the building to make sure that the kids feel safe. So I just want you to know that, okay? I don't want you to worry. And I run this side of the area, so I don't know what school you're looking to put your cousin in.
It was just a general question for every school. It's not just John Bowne High School, it's every, district and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that there's security, that there's no more danger and...
Okay, but again,
Yeah.
I want before the chief speaks, I want to be very straightforward about this. The whole, I think your passion on the question is honest, but I want you to also hear the answer. All these folks from NYPD and from Department of Education have been driving down the violence and crime. If there's even one incident, it's one incident too many. But are we perfect today? No. Are we going to be perfect tomorrow? No. But we are steadily changing and improving the situation. So people at least can have confidence this is something that gets worked on and a huge amount of resources go into all the time. Chief, what can you add?
Hi, I just want to add that any school incident is addressed immediately. What I want, though, is I want the community's trust. I want children reporting the incident. I want children reporting the incident to the teachers or the school, the people that are in the school to help you, the principal and counselors. And if there's no response as a result of you reporting it, then you have to come outside sometimes. Because people get busy or, they have numerous incidents. But we have officers in the school. NCOs go into the school and do bullying, presentations. I want you to feel free and comfortable if something happens to report that, because social media is a monster. And we see a lot of times that things are talked about on social media that wasn't really properly told to anybody that could be of assistance.
So it's the same thing we say about fighting terrorism. If you see something, say something. If an incident happens, make sure someone in uniform knows about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I just say one more
Last
thing?
word,
thing I'm
last
gonna say
word.
is that we also have an Explorer program in all of at least there's one in each one of our precincts, and school safety, the police department. So it helps you build a relationship with the police department to make you feel comfortable. So just so you know that.
Well done. Thank you.
Okay, now we turn to this session. The young man there, yeah, next, right?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Eric Kim. I'm representing Asian American Federation. I'm the project manager for a Union Street Small Business Revitalization Project. And this doesn't just go for the Union Street in Flushing, actually. This question is going to go for the whole New York City. Basically, what's going on is that there's a lot of gentrification, a lot of big commercial buildings building up, which is a great thing. The problem is the rent is skyrocketing. All these old-time small business owners who's been the backbone of New York City economy are kind of being affected. Of course, one of the reasons is because maybe their items or the tactics they've been using is too outdated. But the thing is, we do have to remember that at one point, they were the backbone of our economy, and we cannot just... right.
Yep,
so
I got
what
it.
are your ideas?
Okay, it's a big problem. It's a big problem in the city. As the city has gotten safer, as the number of jobs has gone up, as the value of land and buildings have gone up, it's put a huge amount of pressure, ironically, on small business because everything is more expensive. Simultaneously, and you see this, the whole reality of retail has changed because of online sales and other factors. So it's a really tough time for small business. What we're trying to do is address what we can as the city. We can reduce the number of fines on small business. We've reduced them by 40% already. We're going to continue to reduce them further. We can provide legal assistance to small business in terms of their relationships with their landlords. We can help small business to identify tax breaks that are available to them. We can help them identify financing, low-cost financing. There's a lot of things we can do if a small business needs help. We cannot change market dynamics. We cannot change consumer behavior. We don't have laws that allow us to do rent control, for example, for the commercial sector. So our efforts, I think, can help a lot. I think if an individual small business is having a problem, they can turn to small business services and literally be connected to tax reductions, lending, legal help. But the other thing is, and this is a community solution, people have to decide if they really value their small business locally. They have to shop there more. Every consumer is making a choice. And I always use the example of people who say they love their neighborhood coffee house and then they go to the local Starbucks, right? And they don't give the money to the local coffee house. If you love your local small business, you've actually got to spend money there or else it won't survive. That's something that we have to get the message across to everyday people about too. Go ahead.
Yeah, please support your local business, everyone. Okay. So many hands, right?
Choose.
Okay, them.
哎，我是中国人，我需要一个翻译。
Chinese.
Okay, ready? Go ahead. Go ahead.
哎，尊敬的市长和雇员，那个感谢我们的面对面的呢，跟你提出问题。我那个住在梅口公园儿，那个我在旁边呢开一个诊所。梅口公园的环境呢，是比较差的，因为它那个旁边有很多人吸烟，还有玩那个扑克、下象棋什么的。
Okay, translate.
人很多。
Hold on.
I'm concerned about the Maple Park.
Maple 公园。
There's a park on Maple Avenue. That there are many people who are smoking there, and sometimes doing something.
Which precinct? Come on over. Go ahead. What can you say to this? Go ahead, Inspector. What can you say?
I believe you're talking about Maple, correct? Maple Playground? Maple Park?
Well,
just so you know, just so you know, we do have adequate enforcement there. We have officers that go there. You want to translate?
Yeah, that's one of them. I think.
We've issued summonses in that park to people who were there after dark. We've issued summonses for people who are there who drink in the park. Is that being translated?
听到了，听到了。
Yeah, yes.
So we have adequate enforcement in the park. And we'll keep up that enforcement. We'll make sure our officers go there. We'll make sure we keep enforcing and addressing the
Okay.
issues.
Thank you, Inspector.
Okay.
Go ahead. Next question. Next question. Go ahead.
Yeah, go into.
We don't have much time left, so we got to keep going. Go ahead.
I would like to find
Got a microphone.
I would like to find out how many more hotels going to be built in Flushing. Instead of spending the money on hotels, they should build an extra fire department and extend the police department.
Okay, I appreciate the question, but it's the first I'm hearing of a need for any extra police space or fire space in Flushing. So that one's a new one to me. Do you have anything? Peter, I don't know if you have a view on that. I have not heard a concern about additional police or fire facilities needed for Flushing. Okay, not too much. Go ahead. Next one.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor. I'm Wu Dianying from the Flushing Bid. So we have over 230 restaurants in downtown Flushing, and we've been getting phone calls and questions from consumers and restaurants that people can no longer come to downtown Flushing to pick up their food, because in the past they can go to the restaurant with a quarter to pick up food, because the average cost in downtown Flushing around $6 to $7. And because in the past, they can just drop a quarter, they can park it, they can pick up their food. But now they can no longer. So those 230 restaurants are in trouble. And we have all those retail business experience similar problems.
Okay, so
I'm
again,
seeking your help.
Commissioner, I appreciate, I know what you're saying. The commissioner's going to come up. Again, this is a challenge. I'm not missing. I can see through the eyes of a small business that every customer counts. And I've talked to a lot of small business owners. I understand that you want as much parking as possible, et cetera. It's not consistent with all the other things that we have to do as a city right now. We cannot encourage more use of cars. We need land for affordable housing. There's a lot of other things that we're grappling with. So, Commissioner, I've set the stage. If there's anything else you can say that's helpful, I appreciate it, but I'm trying to be honest about the larger reality.
I mean, we can always come take a look at a neighborhood and see if there's a little something we can do, but I think, as the mayor said, the city just isn't in the business now of doing major new investments in parking structures. And look, this is obviously an area, as I said before, where a lot of the people who are coming through this neighborhood are coming via mass transit or on foot. And so our focus has been trying to accommodate them. They're the majority of the customers in the neighborhood.
If you have a solution, the commissioner will meet with you about it.
We're happy to talk to you
Yep.
if you have a solution.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. You said earlier that New York City's housing crisis runs deep, so I want to take the opportunity to turn that into a pun and talk about legalizing basement apartments. So, as you're aware, right, this has been a long struggle for advocates to legalize basement apartments and make them safe and affordable units.
Yes.
In my neighborhood of Queensboro Hill, there are 408 basement apartments or potential basement apartments that would require no rezoning, no parking variances, nothing. All they would require, they're above grade, 50% above grade. All they would require is HPD to invest in sprinklers so we can deal with the fire hazard and perhaps work on egresses and windows. It'd be a really low cost investment for the city.
I got you.
So what do we have to do to get HPD to come out and invest?
Well, let's get
in
HPD
basement
over
apartments?
here instead of standing way back there, HPD. No, I'm sorry. I'm putting it on you. Come over here. So, I know this guy a long time. I like to make fun of him. So, okay, this is a very good question. And I will remind you, our platform from 4 years ago actually pointed in this direction about trying to liberate as many basement apartments as possible. Now, I think the first, and you'll jump in, the first problem is some cannot be redeemed, right? Some, when it comes to egress and other factors, just can't be, they're physically not fixable or it's too expensive. But to your point about, in some cases, a more modest investment could do it, we're very interested in that. Now, I know the deputy mayor has been working on some ideas around how to revive more of these apartments and what kind of investment and changes we need to make. Can you speak to that, either one of you? Building or
Sure.
HPD?
Tom Farrell, I'm the first Deputy Commissioner for Department of Buildings. We are working with Deputy Mayor Glenn and coming out with some proposals, and a decision memo will go to the mayor very shortly on how we can allow these basement apartments to be utilized.
And I think just from the HPD side, what we're looking at are in places where it is legal, using various financing mechanisms and low interest loans and things like that to help work with local property owners to see if we can, in situations where it's appropriate, do exactly that.
Okay, so will you follow up? Both of you will follow up to see if we have specific properties that you know of that we can start working on. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor de Blasio. This is my pleasure to be here, and thank you, Mr. Peter Koo. I'm here actually, my name is Sushma Malhotra, and I work for New York City Department of Education for last 23 years. In 2007, I took initiative for starting Hindi language regions, and along with that, there were Punjabi Lote regions as well.
Okay, go to the question.
Unfortunately,
what's the question?
The question is there is no Hindi or Punjabi language program in any of the schools, and there are so many international high schools, and I came to you in July, sir, and I know I was introduced to Mr. Pendergast, but the problem is I went to Mr. Peter Koo's office as well, and
But wait. We really can't go too far in. Your question is, you want more of those programs?
Yes, because Hindi and Punjabi, when students come in, there is no language program, there is no cultural, and the thing is, exam is there. Lote exam is there.
I got it.
But there is no
Deputy
classes.
Chancellor will follow up, but do you have an initial answer, or you're just going to do a follow-up? Deputy Chancellor will follow up with you. She's the Deputy Chancellor. You're getting an upgrade. You're going to talk to her directly.
How are you doing? Good evening. I represent the East-West School of International Studies. Last Monday, we had a big mechanical issue with our elevator. We have students that are disabled and wheelchair-bound. Currently, they're being displaced because
This
of
is
the
one of our
elevator.
schools, right? DOE?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You just shouldn't sit down because you're getting a lot of business tonight. I would urge you to just hang around. Go ahead.
We requested
East-West School?
The East-West School of International Studies, co-located with Rachel Carson, IS 237. So we've had a lot of issues with our elevator. We've put in a lot of requests. Even this year, we had like 9 service calls to the elevator for service. Like I said, last Monday.
So just bottom line is you're trying to get your elevator fixed?
Bottom line, we want to try to get the elevator fixed. I know SCA said that the motor's been
Okay,
replaced.
SCA here too?
I have an
Okay.
answer for that because
I like it already. Go ahead.
Before, and John Shea was there this evening, and we're hoping that the elevator will be fixed tonight for tomorrow. So they
okay.
are, that is
Not going
happening.
Back and forth. We're answering now.
And you can
got
answer
the
the
point.
question.
So that's right now, but how are we going to fix the bigger problem?
I'm from SCA. The fellows are out there now. They're working on it. They'll have the motor replaced by next Tuesday.
So will this
and
fix the
then
bigger problem?
We will be overhauling the entire elevator now that they've sent it to the SCA. But that we'll be working on, but your elevator will be up and running and with a new motor on Tuesday.
Good. And for the bigger long-term
Bigger
fix,
long-term,
how long are you
it's
talking
come
about?
to us. It's now, we'll send folks out there next week, and we'll have a plan in action within the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure exactly how long the full renovation will take, but it is something we're addressing right away.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to Flushing, Mr. Mayor. Very quickly, I have heard many times that in different meetings that the new buildings coming up or in the past, that there was going to be a portion for affordable housing. I would like to know where I can find this list. I have been a resident of Flushing for 47 years, and I don't want to be chased away from my neighborhood. And also something about quality of life. Who's watching the speeding?
No.
Who's watching the speeding on the
each.
sidewalk?
Ma'am, one each. So on the question of providing a list of affordable housing options in the community, can you make sure that happens for her?
Yes.
Okay, great. He'll follow up with you. Thank
Okay,
you.
and Mario is your paisan.
Ma'am, one person, one question per person, one issue per person. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Transport, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just have to go fast because we're running out of time. Go ahead. Get right to the question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
시장님 또한 하나님께 이렇게 뉴욕에서 살 수 있는 축복 주셔서 감사를 드립니다. 예. 그리고 저희 집에 한 100년 된 집인데요. 한 100년 된 큰 나무가 있었는데요. 그게 자르고 그 뿌리가 깊어가지고 보루블록이 다
Okay.
깨졌어요.
Do you have a question for me?
예.
Oh, okay.
예.
Yes, I can actually translate.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
She's a constituent.
Whoever's got it, go ahead.
So she's actually a constituent that our office has been helping. So I can explain her
Go ahead.
situation quickly. So she has she had a tree in front of her house that's damaged her sidewalk since 2011. And then, unfortunately, DOT has been telling her that this is part of the tree and sidewalks program,
Yep.
so that it cannot be fixed. And DPR has notified her that her sidewalk is not prioritized. And it's now 2017. Her sidewalk is still broken.
What can we do about this?
I'm going to speak to you right after the meeting. Give me your address, and I'll get back to you personally with where the issue is.
Let's see if we can fix it. She'll see if we can fix it. Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead. Next question.
I think a theme of the night has been enforcement and accountability. And what I want to ask is, where is the enforcement and accountability on our Flushing slumlords? I want to point to several buildings on Sanford Avenue where DOB has handed down Class 1 violations, stop work orders signed off by the Commissioner Rick Chandler, HPD, Class C violations, and still these stop work orders continue to be defied with impunity. And these developers are looking to convert 100% affordable, multifamily rent-stabilized housing that is subsidized by J51 into condos. And still, we find that the tenants in these buildings, that they feel that there isn't enough being done.
Okay. Let me stay there with both buildings and HPD. Before we even passed new laws, we wanted to stop, of course, any violation of a stop work order is a very serious issue to us, and we feel we were very strenuous in how we enforce that. But we've added additional tenant protections to stop harassment that is based on the landlord's desire to clear the building and flip it and get higher rents. So we have more tools even this year because of actions taken by the City Council than we had in the past. We obviously also have the right to counsel law, which provides free lawyers to anyone who's suffering from harassment or other illegal activity. So, all of you, obviously Commissioner Banks from Social Services as well, I want this immediately acted on. If there's violations of stop work orders, we should throw the book at them. If people need lawyers, we should get them lawyers. If anyone's trying to undermine affordable housing, we should step in. What are we going to do here?
Sure, I'm with the building department. So if you give me those addresses and people are violating the stop work orders, we'll be out there and issue more violations and more stop work orders, right? And then we can escalate that up to criminal court summons and drag them into criminal court. We've also worked with PD in the past to be on site to get people off the job at that point.
Okay, let's do that tomorrow. So, where exactly?
There are 4 buildings on Sanford and 3 others in Flushing.
Who's got those? Okay, Inspector, want you to take one of your senior people, team up with whoever's going from buildings tomorrow, and go to the sites, and if we see that work is happening that's not supposed to, we want it shut down immediately with police assistance, and then all of the larger sanctions. And I want the Commissioner made an important point. That can include criminal charges toward the violators. Let's throw the book at these folks right away. So will you make sure to coordinate so you can meet folks at the sites so we can do the immediate follow-up? Okay? Thank you. Make sure it happens tomorrow. Like when? Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, guys. How you doing, Mayor? Pretty cool. I have a concern. It's about hospitals. The Central Sterile Processing Department, which sterilizes the medical instruments, they use a chemical, formaldehyde, which is a known carcinogen, and it's considered a carcinogen by the EPA.
Dr. Bassett.
And it could, it can really hurt a human, like the workers
Which
or
hospital,
the patient.
sir? Which hospital?
All hospitals.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to know, how could you guys help and ban formaldehyde from being used as a sterilant to the medical instruments?
Yes.
Because I think it was in the 70s or 60s, there was a scandal on how formaldehyde was, the parents who were exposed to formaldehyde were giving birth to babies who were severely deformed.
Okay, so your concern is that that's being used with the medical instruments and it could be a
To
carcinogen.
sterilize the
Got
medical
it.
instruments.
Got it.
Yeah.
Dr. Bassett.
Right. Now, the first time, I think I should talk with you about your information, but the operations of the hospitals are overseen principally by the state health department.
But can we look into whether we think there's a bigger issue?
If there's anything that is causing harm to people, of course, as your health commissioner, I want to worry about it. So let me check with you about what you're
You'll follow up.
about it, and I'll
He's going to
follow
follow up. We got it. Go ahead, Peter. Will you find out?
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and let me just tell everyone, hold on one second, my friend. 15 minutes left for the meeting. So after this question, we're going to try and keep moving very fast through the additional questions. Go ahead, sir.
I live in one of the buildings that young man was talking about. The construction has been going on for 2 years straight. This guy by the name of Adam Mermelstein. When you were a public advocate, you named him one of the worst landlords. This guy is driving us crazy. I can't hardly talk because of the dust. We've been complaining to the health department, and they did nothing. Finally, Councilman Koo and his staff, Miss Eileen and Scott, and then Assemblyman Kim and Tony got involved, and they started to write violations. But the health department did not release the report and it came back with an excessive amount of lead in these buildings. We have asbestos in these buildings. They were built before.
Okay, Dr. Bassett, where are you? Come on over. Sorry, he'll get him back in a moment. Okay, so we got a group here. No, let me make sure for everyone. Okay, so I appreciate that you've added additional information here. So something sounds really wrong with this site. So I've asked Leiden Sleeper, who's the Chief of Staff at the Department of Housing, who's going to work with all the other agencies to make sure this is acted on very, very rapidly starting tomorrow, okay? PD, Health Department, Buildings Department, Housing Department. This sounds really, really bad. So I want to understand how this has gone on so long and why there haven't been more consequences for the landlord. And Steve Banks, you can help us on this too. What has to happen if construction's been going on for 2 years and there's been regular stop work orders? Something's fundamentally broken. So tomorrow, I want senior people on the site to figure out why this has not been stopped. And if we have to escalate criminal charges towards the landlord or any other type of aggressive action, let's go, because this sounds outrageous.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to follow up. Yep. And the issue here is there's a concern about lead exposure and other health issues. So I need the health department in this too starting tomorrow. So you'll have a person assigned to deal with it. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it.
We'll follow up on
I want to hear about it. Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Dorothy Wu. I'm coming from Casino Corridor Park Conservancy. Thank you so much for funding the lighting in the park for our safety. But I also thinking you could add a surveillance camera for the parks.
Yeah, we have it, don't we? Yeah.
No.
Let's clarify.
Hi, ma'am, how are you? Back in July, I liaison with Taro Unit, and we do have cameras in those parks.
Okay.
And Christina Corridor.
So, well, and you'll follow up to tell her how it's
I will.
configured. So we got cameras, we're putting in lights, and there's additional patrols.
Oh, I have a question.
Wait, we just covered the issue. Okay, real quick.
Okay, the quick question. We have a very well fully funded project. It has been for many years since we started the proposed. So it's a meditation garden. And
Ma'am,
we want to know
that's
the
a different topic. I can't do more than one per person. The first one was about the cameras. We've got the cameras covered. We can follow up on the other issue with Parks Department. Go ahead. Commissioner will follow up with you. Go ahead. Fast, as many people as possible. Okay, everyone fast in your comments. No niceties. What's your question or concern?
We need your collaborative support going in your next term of office for smoke-free housing, to pick up on what was said earlier. HPD does have lottery for affordable housing in Flushing right here. There's a demand. Community boards throughout Queens, 13 of the 14, show support for smoke-free housing.
Great point, and I thank you. I'm very interested in this. This is. I want everyone to know this meeting. This is something where people have educated me to something we haven't been focused on. So thanks to both of you, and I think this is a great idea to see if we can designate more affordable housing smoke-free. So I want HPD to come back with a vision of how we do that. Thank you. Next.
Thank you for coming here, and thank you for taking our questions.
Question
is, your NYC food assistance program works very well. They're wonderful. We have started a food pantry, South Asian food
What's
pantry.
What's the question?
The question is, I think it's when we have so much food insecurity and we have such diversity, we need to have culturally appropriate food for people. We get people from Jamaica, from Jackson Heights, from Elmhurst, because they can't get it in those food banks, food banks or food pantries. So I think it's important the type of food they give should include culturally appropriate items.
And my answer would be that is the ideal, but I want to remind people that we are providing free food to people in need, and if we're able to do the ideal, that's great, but if we're not, we're still providing free food to people in need. So, Steve, I don't know if you have a better answer than that, but that's my view.
And we'll follow up with you tonight on the specifics to see if there's anything we can do better. But as the mayor said, we're going to keep giving you the food and keep working with you to do better.
Thank you. Next.
Any questions?
With day-to-day homeless housing so expensive, couldn't permanent housing be built instead?
That's what we're doing. So I said earlier, we have a plan that is to build and preserve, meaning subsidize, 300,000 apartments, billions and billions of dollars of public investment. That's the number one thing we're doing. The homeless housing efforts are to deal with a crisis, but we spend a whole lot more on permanent housing solutions. Next, Peter. Next. Okay. Don't read your email, Peter. You're supposed to be moderating the meeting. Don't read your email in the middle of it. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Marzan. I go to Queens High School for Language Studies, and I have a question about why Pet Lounge Discounts is still open, because I had recently gotten 2 fish about 2 weeks ago, and when I saw the conditions that they were having in that pet store, it was horrible. The turtles were stacked on top of each other in a small
Okay, let me stop there. Who handles, is that Consumer Affairs that handles whether pet stores are humane? Is that you or is that Health? Who is that?
Not that, but we can definitely look at the consumer issue.
Okay, Consumer Affairs is going to follow up on that specific site. Okay, go ahead, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Bob Wong. Thank you for Councilman Peter Koo and Mayor
Yes,
DeBasso.
question, please.
Okay, the same question I asked last time in the town hall meeting. What's your initiative to find job and housing for American soldier, for the veteran? That's all.
For veterans? A lot of different pieces. We have a whole initiative to find public sector jobs for veterans. In fact, we see a very strong veterans presence now in our uniformed services. We're trying to encourage private sector to hire more veterans too. We have a huge health-oriented initiative for veterans, particularly including mental health. We've ended chronic veteran homelessness. We have a new Department of Veteran Services, so a lot of different pieces where we're trying to help veterans. I wish the federal government did more, but we're trying to fill in as many of the pieces as we can. Go ahead.
Hi, this man.
Mr. Mayor, I'm a cyclist and a driver and a bunch of other things. And when I'm trying to ride my bike from Flushing Meadows Corona Park to Cunningham Park, I have to ride my bike on Booth Memorial. And I was wondering, there is a ribbon of green space that runs from Flushing Meadow all the way to Cunningham Park. And I was wondering if there was a trail promised to Flushing in 1977 that would keep people off Booth Memorial and
Okay,
in
I got
the
you.
parks.
I don't know about 1977, but let's see what we can do about today. Polly.
Right, and this is what it's really, it's a parks, and to create that continuous pathway that I know we want to link between all those parks in Queens. It's both a parks and a DOT effort, and there's some complexities to it, but we've certainly been talking, we're open to it. We definitely want to meet with the cycling community and start to put some of those pieces together. We know it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have last.
Running out of time. What do we got left?
James Trickus, I'm a community leader. Our concern is row bioswales. Bioswales are proposed to put in the sidewalk and collect rainwater, stormwater. In areas like mine, rainwater travels in a downward slope along the length of the sidewalk.
What do you need? I don't need all the background. What do you need?
Okay. Would you direct the DEP to include homeowners' option to keep existing grass strips, planted flowers and bulbs, or landscaped areas instead of a bioswale where the rainwater is absorbed and filtered?
DEP, what do you
accomplish
say?
the same thing at no cost to the city and saves $1 billion.
Hold on. What do you say?
We have an answer to that, and I'll explain it to you offline.
Okay, he's going to follow up with you personally. That's the DEP commissioner. You're at the top of the food chain. Wait. You got the top guy talking to you. Come on. Next.
Mr. Mayor, I'm with the CUNY Graduate Center and the Biking Public Project, and we work with a lot of immigrant delivery workers.
Yep.
And the new city policy on e-bikes.
I just answered it, so I don't know what else you want to hear.
We've talked to many workers that they all own the e-bikes. And so this impression that as a sanctuary city.
The law is the law. The law is the
we
law.
are trying to protect the workers. So
I appreciate protecting workers.
We want to ask you to sit down with the workers, the immigrant workers, to hear their concerns and to work out a reasonable policy that works for everybody.
We have a policy. I'm going to be very straightforward. We have a policy. This is state law. The fact that state law is ignored does not make it okay. So I respect that people own the bikes, but that's unfortunately was something that ended up leading them to violate state law because they're not supposed to be using those bikes in New York City. That's law. We will work with people to see if there's a way to rectify state law that is fair to public safety. Is it DOT or is it someone else on this one, on the e-bikes? So the commissioner will make sure there's a follow-up meeting. I can't do it myself, but the commissioner will make sure that senior people from DOT and PD sit down with the community, e-bike community, hear concerns, but it will not be resolved until there's a state law change. Otherwise, enforcement begins in January. Okay. 5 minutes left, Peter. 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. Let's see if we can get to 3 questions.
Hi, Mayor. I want to say
3
congratulations.
questions. Wait a minute.
for
Who's got it?
Hi, my name is Saba Ahmed. I want to say thank you for your.
Wait a minute, ma'am. You need to sit down. Ma'am, Peter. Peter.
I
There
want
you
to
go.
thank your administration for creating the Action NYC program, and I hope you continue to fund the nonprofits throughout the 5 boroughs and continue creating more programs like Action NYC. Because I was able to individually advocate and provide legal assistance for over 100 clients throughout the 5 boroughs
Excellent.
of New York City.
Thank you
so
for
please
that.
continue funding that.
We will.
Councilman, in the last year, there's been an increase of homeless individuals on Flushing. I've seen them inside Flushing Library, inside Macy's, living outside and sleeping outside fast food restaurants, especially Macy's and McDonald's. And I was wondering what your administration is going to do to provide shelter assistance. For
Okay,
these
so this is
individuals.
actually Commissioner Banks can speak to that.
First of all, we'll come in and meet with you after this to see exactly what the location is. We have outreach workers out every day working directly with the PD to bring people in. We brought in almost 900 people over the last year from the streets. We're going to keep doing that, but we need the help of people like you can help us identify people. So we'll be happy to sit down with you right now.
Okay, we're going to do 2 questions, right? Okay, you. Wait. You will come.
Special question. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Remember, everyone, if you don't get your question asked now, all these commissioners are here still afterwards. 2 more questions. Where are we looking?
All right. Hi, my name is Oidi, and I am a student on the Flushing campus, and I'm here with the SASF program. My question is about post-secondary success. In a lot of high schools, they do not provide enough education or information on how to survive. Post-secondary, after college, what are you going to do with your degree? And most of the times, you only figure those stuff out when you're in college.
Right.
And, you're wasting time and money. So I want to know, is there a plan to help advocate more, awareness for students here, especially high school students, for post-secondary success? And should they be thinking about these things?
Okay, so important question and a little bit complex, but Dorita, who should not have sat down, should have just stayed here. Even I warned you. So simple point. Planning for post-secondary success, I think, comes down to one part what we're trying to do with guidance counselors and one part what we're trying to do with the CUNY ASAP program. So I can say on the CUNY side, we have put a lot of money into the 2-year colleges to provide a lot of the support for young people go in to maximize their ability of succeeding and figuring out what they're doing next. Guidance counseling, I know we've made some additions and improvements. What's that?
And we've also done good work around college access for all in high schools, and the guidance counselors are following up after the first year of students going into college. So in terms of job preparation and career readiness. So there's a lot of that in there, but I'll talk to you more about this after. I'll be here.
Okay, last question for this lady.
I have a special question. Just just in the bus, show the each stop name. It's very convenient for the passenger.
I'm not sure I understood. Can someone help?
I'll explain. Her question is, can we announce the stops on the buses when they pass each stop?
Okay, the
It would be
buses
very
are not us. Let's start with that. Go ahead, Commissioner.
We can certainly talk to the MTA about it, and I think they are moving to try and have more of those automated announcement of the bus stop. So we will.
But this is a great way to end the meeting with an important question for the audience. My favorite question always. Okay, ready, everyone? Who runs the subways and buses? Is it the city of New York or the state of New York? Very educated group. But we're going to work to get the state of New York to do their job better, and that's a good question. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, if you have questions, ask the commissioner. Hold on a second.
Okay, I'll take it.